Welcome, everyone, to the first revival season of Thomas & Friends Home Media Reviews. Season 6 of the show was something that I didn't think would happen, but I'm very grateful that it did. It finally let me cover some foreign-based releases on the show, and it put me in direct contact with Sean, Thomas Fan 261. Sean is the provider of every release that we covered back in season 6 of the show, and me and him are still good friends to this day. I've said it a lot in the past, and you'll never hear me stop saying it. Sean, thank you so very much, my friend, for selling me these releases. You were the one that provided me the stuff to cover here for this new season. So season 6 of Thomas & Friends Home Media Reviews will take us from episode number 121 all the way to 127, with a couple of supplementals there in the middle. The supplementals here are mostly just menu tours because at the time of doing this, I didn't know a lot about disk drive region changing, so I just assumed I'd never be able to watch these outside of ripping stuff. Which actually, I had these DVDs for quite a while before I ever got around to covering them, because I didn't have a way to watch them. I didn't know about DVD ripping and stuff back then. I was nowhere near as knowledgeable about the subject as I am now. So when I found out I could pop these into my computer disk drive, rip the raw files off of using a program called MakeMKV, and I'd be able to convert them and I would be able to watch them, convert them, do whatever the hell I wanted with them, my brain started buzzing. But I also didn't know that you could also switch your DVD's internal region to whatever region you wanted to, and then you could play the DVDs through various programs through the Windows operating system. So that was something I didn't find out till months later after the season was over. Speaking of said season, let's go ahead and jump into the 6th season of Thomas & Friends Home Media Reviews. Good night, everybody. Woo! Alright. Just gotta stretch the old Thomas & Friends Home Media Reviews reviewing muscles here. It's been a while. I might be a little rusty. Ooh. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Thomas & Friends Home Media Reviews. A sentence I didn't think I'd say for quite a long time. And it's been kind of a long time since we've been back here. This review is on the very best of Thomas & Friends, our first ever foreign release covered here on Home Media Reviews. This is a historic moment. Not only are we covering a UK DVD here on Thomas & Friends Home Media Reviews, but it's my first time ever seeing a Thomas release from outside of my home country, the United States. This release, as well as all the others that we're going to be covering in this revival season of Home Media Reviews, was provided by Thomas Fan 261, or Sean, a fellow fan and friend of mine who offered to send these to me for absolutely free just to donate them to a fellow home media collector. So Thomas Fan 261, I've said this multiple times in the past, but I will never stop thanking you for this care package that you sent me. This was amazing. So with all that being said, guys, let's move right into the history of the very best of Thomas & Friends. So the very best of Thomas & Friends is fairly similar to a lot of the best ofs here in the United States, and it has a similar history to many releases here in the United States. This came out on VHS in 2002 in the United Kingdom. It has a similar poster art to its DVD counterpart, which this did not hit that format until a year later in 2003. As you see on your screen, the poster art's are pretty much exactly the same. A year after that, in June of 2004, Australia then got the very best of Thomas and Friends. I'm going to be featuring these releases in any country that they were released in, as long as they're listed here on the wiki, which is where I'm getting my history for these releases. So, June of 2004, Australia got this on VHS and also DVD. Australia, I believe, is also Region 2, I think? I don't really know. No, Australia is actually Region 4, excuse me. Region 4, in case you're wondering, is Australia, New Zealand, the Pacific Islands, Central America, Mexico, South America, and the Caribbean. The more you know. But that does not wrap up our history section, because we have one more release to look at here. In March of 2009, the very best of Thomas and Friends was available in a 2-pack DVD set with a release titled The Fogman and Other Stories. I don't know anything about The Fogman. I think it might be Salty Secret, just repackaged. Let me just take a look at this here. Yes, I'm doing on-site research. It's got a number of similar stories on it that Salty Secret does. There's like 2 stories here that aren't on Salty Secret here in the United States, but it's fairly similar. But that does wrap up our history section on the very best of Thomas and Friends. This was not reprinted a lot over in the United Kingdom. I assume it was pretty popular, though. Now that we've wrapped up the history section, let's move right along to the close-up. Alrighty, everyone. Here's your close-up look at the very best of Thomas and Friends. Start off here at the top. You got a little banner there that says the very best of Thomas and Friends. This little circle here from the first 5 television series. Okay, the best episodes of the classic series right there. Awesome. Although season 6 is pretty good too. You got Thomas there. I think that's from Thomas Percy and the Dragon, because the little workman there, he's kind of just like, hey, oh, throw your hands in the air, whatever. I don't know what that was, but he's having the time of his life. I'm pretty sure that's from Thomas Percy and the Dragon, when Thomas sees the dragon for the first time. It's a very eye-catching cover. I'm not really sure why you would use that for a release called The Very Best of Thomas and Friends. I feel like you would use this for like a scary release or something. On the bottom, we've got screenshots. That one's from Toby and the Flood. That one's from Charles Thomas. Shoot. I think that's James in the Trouble with Trees. Put Upon Percy? No, he's at Knapford. He's at like the harbor or something. I don't remember what that one's from. Crap. Well, 3 out of 4 ain't bad. DVD logo. 16 favorite episodes of the famous Tank Engine Thomas. I said favorite because that's how you spell it in England. Favorite. And then, oh, I forgot to tell you, there's your little UK rating symbol there with the little triangle. Rated U for Universal. I like this poster. It's fairly nice. The side, product number, DVD logo, picture of Thomas. The very best of Thomas and Friends. Hit logo, your rating once again, and a VCI logo, which I assume is the company that released this. The back, very best of Thomas and Friends again. Got your blurb, which kind of has to form its way around the Thomas and Friends logo, which I think is funny. You got your list of episodes here on the side. Classic episodes in here. Pretty good selection. The side, more screenshots. Reused one from the front. There's one from Double Teething Troubles. One of the Scarloey episodes, Home at Last, maybe, I think. Gordon, Better View for Gordon? Oh, I almost said Gordon or the Gremlin. No, that's Better View for Gordon. Pretty sure. I don't watch Thomas constantly, guys, so stuff fades from my memory. Some cast and crew information, copyright stuff, tech specs, another rating down there, Universal, suitable for all, hit logo, VCI logo, all that good stuff. We open this up. Here is your disc. Squished up version of the poster art. Still even got the workman with his hands in the air, just woo, having the time of his frickin' life, man. Before we move on, the UK, guys, you guys have got really good, sturdy cases for your releases. Over here in the United States, we've pretty much cheaped out on our plastic cases for our home media. You guys, you got some good sturdy stuff over there. That feels really nice in the hands. So I'm not sure if we're gonna have a menu tour or not. I think I finagled a way to do it. It's kind of rudimentary, but we just might. We might, but if not, then we're gonna go back and answer the 5 main questions as always. So kind of up in the air whether or not we're gonna have one or not. So whatever comes next, I'll see you there. All right, so you're back from the close-up. Now it's time to answer the 5 main questions as always. Number 1, where can you pick this product up? It's going to be a bit hard for me to answer this because of the fact that I didn't purchase this myself. I think you can find these on eBay, more than likely, here in the United States. Obviously, if you live in the United Kingdom or in another country that has Region 2 DVDs like this one, I don't know if you could find this in stores necessarily. I don't think you could. It's been a long time since a lot of these were reprinted, so I don't actually think you could find these on stores even in the home country that this originated from. So I'm going to say online retailers, specifically eBay or Amazon for this. Number 2, is this product still being printed nowadays? This I can say is a hard no. Absolutely not. This has not been reprinted since 2009, according to the wiki. Number 3, should you pick this product up? This one's also going to be interesting since the main reason that I made the choice not to cover these, especially this one on HMR, when I first received them, was the fact that I didn't have a way to watch them. I don't have a Region 2 DVD player. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are saying, well, no, man, your Blu-ray player can play Region 2 stuff and your Xbox can play Region 2 stuff. False. You are false if you think that. My Blu-ray player, which I used to have in my room, it's not a bonus room, my LG Blu-ray player can only play Region 1 DVDs because the DVD format is region locked. Blu-rays, on the other hand, those are not region locked. They can play in any player whatsoever. Same thing with my Xbox. My Xbox can only play Region 1 DVDs. Because DVDs, once again, are region locked. I don't know how many times I have to explain this to people, but there's always going to be somebody in the comments who says, no, your Blu-ray player and your Xbox can play Region 2 DVDs, you idiot. Why don't you come over to my house and watch me put this in my Xbox and my Blu-ray player, and I'll laugh in your face when it doesn't work. Nevertheless, I found a way to watch these. If you know anything about DVD ripping, you'll know how I got to watch these. I recently picked up a external Blu-ray drive for my PC in order to rip Blu-rays and then put them onto a hard drive so I can have them in a digital format so I can take them wherever I want to go. On a whim, one day, I said, hey, I wonder if these will actually work in a external Blu-ray drive. So I popped them in, loaded up my program, MakeMKV is what I use. It read the discs, and it showed titles and everything for them. And I was like, holy crap, is this actually going to work, or am I going to get a weird error message when I try to rip these? So I ripped them, play them back. They are the fully untouched files that are on this disc. It read it perfectly, and it plays back perfectly here in the United States. After a rip, of course, I can't play it off the actual disc because the disc is region locked, but the files themselves that I ripped off of the disc, they work fine. So I was able to watch the very best of Thomas and Friends from a rip. You may have noticed, too, that there wasn't a menu tour for this. Again, another reason for that is because I don't have a player that will work. Kind of. I have an old Windows XP machine that I got from my grandfather when he moved out of his house. He gave it to me because he didn't have any use for it. I popped this in to that drive, wondering if it would work. Technically, it does work. However, the menu is extremely wonky. Whenever I click on something to select the story stops or anything like that, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and there's no sound. So I made the decision to axe menu tours for this revival season because I don't want them to be in crappy quality, just shot off of a 4x3 monitor. And I don't want to have to cut the thing to crap because I have to keep cutting out long pauses of me trying to get the damn mouse to work. The no sound thing is actually a plus for me because you guys know I mute the sound for the menu so I don't get copyright claimed, but it would have been nice to have sound, I guess. Now, there won't be menu tours for this revival season, but I can still review the content that's on the discs. And the very best of Thomas and Friends, this is actually a really good release. I was expecting garbage going into this, actually, because when I see very best of Thomas and Friends, that gives me flashbacks to the greatest stories. And what's that other one? Engine Friends, I think it's called, where that was just a random grab bag of stories that made absolutely no sense and weren't the greatest stories or the best episodes from the perspective of fans. However, once I looked at the story stops on the back, you actually do have some classics on here. You've got Thomas and Gordon, of course, Cranky Bugs, Rusty and the Boulder, Paints, Pots, and Queens, Thomas and the Special Letter. I mean, you've got some pretty good episodes on this release. And unlike with, I can't remember which releases that this episode was on. I know it was on Thomas's Halloween Adventures, but the episode Dirty Work, or it was retitled here in the US as Diesel's Devious Deed. I know that episode by itself was packaged on several releases, Thomas's Halloween Adventures being one of them, as I mentioned earlier, which didn't make a lot of sense to me because that's the middle episode of an arc. Why would you put that on a release just by itself? Made no sense to me. Here, it's on this, but the first episode in the arc is actually on this release as well. Pop Goes the Diesel. Okay, that makes sense. The Close Shave for Duck's not on here, but we're moving in a step in the right direction. I gotta give it points where it's valid here. But you do have some good episodes on this release. I gotta say, I don't disagree with a vast majority of the episodes that are on this disc. Escape, I think, should be on here, and maybe a couple of the Duke episodes should be on here. But hey, the fact that Gallant Old Engine is on here, that's a plus, big plus. Ghost Train's a pretty good one too. Thomas Comes to Breakfast, one of my most nostalgic stories ever. That one's pretty good. I'll say this though, there are a couple of screenshots on the back of this now that I'm looking at it. The episodes that are screenshotted here aren't on this release. You got a screenshot from Double Teething Troubles, that's not on here. A screenshot from A Better View for Gordon, that's not on here. And then a screenshot of Rusty and Skarloey from one of the early episodes when, like, Skarloey came back to the railway after being mended. I think it was Home at Last this one's from. That's not on here either. You do have a screenshot from Trust Thomas, which is on this release, but 1 out of 4. Not a good strike record there, VCI. The episodes themselves, in terms of video quality, kind of a mix match here. There are some episodes on here that look really good, but there are others that look like they were ripped straight off of a VHS with no enhancement done to them. They don't look very good. I'd say it's about half and half. Half of these episodes look good, the other half look like, hey, I just hooked up my VCR to my 4K television and it looks like I'm running a 360p signal through this. And another negative about this release, why in the world does it need to have the opening credits and the end credits play before each episode? Every single episode has the beginning opening credits and then the ending credits. By the 4th or 5th episode while I was watching this, I was sick of it. I was over it. I'm done with the Thomas theme, okay? I've heard it. Let's move along here. I had the same problem with the early years. I don't know why these companies think that they need to put the intro and the outro on every single story on this release. That's something that the US got right. Put the intro at the beginning, credits at the end. That's how it works. So there's no name boards or transitions on here. It's just intro, episode, outro, intro, episode, outro, and it's like 16 stuff. And it's like 16 times here. It's crazy. However, though, I gotta say, I was impressed with the story selection on this release, and some of the episodes that have really good quality to them, in terms of picture, I was impressed by. Yes, it's annoying to continually listen to the intro and outro, but you can skip that or mute it. And yes, it's annoying that the first 2 episodes of an arc are on here and not the final one. Yeah, that makes sense. Percy Runs Away is on here. That's the last story in an arc. The first 2 aren't on here. That's a pet peeve. But I can't help but really enjoy this release. I don't know what it is about it. I think it's just, this might be one of the best of compilations of Thomas and Friends I've ever seen. The best ofs here in the United States, they are nostalgic for me. But when you look at those episodes, would you really say, yeah, those are the best of that character, or the best of the entire series? I mean, these episodes on here are pretty decent for a best of compilation, for a straight repackage of stories, I should say, for stories you already own, more than likely. And this was my first time hearing Michael Angelis narrate stories like Cranky Bugs, Rusty and the Boulder, Paints, Pots, and Queens. I never heard this guy's narration back when he was good. or at least some fans would say back when he was good. Obviously, I'm a United States kid. I grew up with George Carlin, primarily, some Ringo Starr. But I'd never heard Michael Angelis, and man, the guy was really good. I gotta say, he was really good back in the day. I see why all of you United Kingdom folks really enjoy his narration. He's good. I enjoyed him. Do I prefer George Carlin? Yes. But hey, it's nice to know that these versions are out there. So I gotta say, I gotta give a very high recommend to the very best of Thomas and Friends. I had a good time watching this, and I think that this is a good compilation that is well worth your money. Yeah, definitely. I recommend it. Number 4, where should you pick this product up? Same answers as number 1. And number 5, what price should you pay? This is interesting, because I don't know if I can answer this because of like conversion rates and stuff with the UK. I'd say, though, if you're in the United States and you're looking for this, I'd say no more than around 10 to 15 for it. Maybe a little bit more than 15, 20 with, conversion rates and shipping and stuff. But maybe no more than, you know what, I'll bump it. How about no more than 20? That's about what this is worth. So, guys, that is it. That is the first episode of the Thomas and Friends Home Media Reviews Revival season. I gotta say, watching the very best of Thomas and Friends and hearing Michael and Angelis narrate stories like Cranky Bugs, it was like watching the series for the first time. It was crazy to me that I'd never actually heard this guy's narration back in the early days of Thomas, back when most fans really liked his narration. Amazing to me that I get to experience these stories for basically a second time. Next week, we are moving right along in the release timeline. This next release that we're going to be covering came out after the very best of Thomas and Friends. It was the next release after this. It's called Brave Little Engines. I don't know a lot about this release. I don't know what stories are on it. I haven't done any research on it at the time of recording this video, but I'm excited to get back to you next week with a review of Brave Little Engines. With all that being said, thank you guys so very much for watching. Good night, everybody. Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome back to another supplemental on Thomas and Friends Home Media Reviews. We have another menu tour for you all today, and this time around, it's the very best of Thomas and Friends. I think this was the first UK HMR that I did way back in the day, and it was one of my favorites of that season. So our menu here is pretty simplistic. For what it's worth, we start off this release with some company logos. We start with the VCI logo as well as a hit logo. And you can see there a really bad JPEG of Thomas that keeps running across the screen. It's not a video. There it is. See it? Look at that. That's not Thomas at all. Someone just took like a JPEG of Thomas and moved him across the screen. This is a video, though, the windmill going back and forth, but Thomas is not. So our options include play all, episode selection, and subtitles. If we take a look at the episode section, nice little clip of Thomas there. Here are our episodes. Oh, Thomas's eyes move as well as you look through the episodes here. So we got 5 on the first page. Next page, we've got Gordon. His eyes move as well. We move up to 10 episodes here. And the last page, instead of 5 episodes, now we've got 6. Move up to 16, and there's Percy, and his eyes are moving as well. I like how the backgrounds are sets from the show. That's pretty awesome. Man, I forgot how great of a selection that this release has on it. Like, you got Thomas Comes to Breakfast with Ghost Train and Gallon Old Engine. This release was just freaking awesome. And for subtitles, it doesn't tell us what the subtitles are. It just, we can turn them off or we can turn them on. I assume they're in English. When we take a look at some footage, I want to actually see what the subtitles look like. So let's select an episode. I'm going to try to do this in a way that doesn't get me copyright claimed. How about Cranky Bugs? That's a good episode. Yeah, the subtitles are in English, and the footage here looks pretty good. I mean, it's honestly kind of higher quality than we get over here in the US. So the subtitles are actually missing some lines here. So the line from James is, he's high up in the air coping with wind, rain, and baking sun, but the subtitles are, he's up in the air coping with wind and rain, huffed James. That's a different line than what's actually said in the episode. Same thing with this line here. It's missing some crucial information. When Cranky heard this, he grew bossier. When Cranky heard that the big engines agreed with him, he grew bossier still, is actually the line. That's interesting that these subtitles are not correct for this episode. I wonder if that's the case with all the episodes. So a pretty simplistic menu overall. It is nice seeing these classic photos and models of these characters used for this menu. I find that incredibly interesting that some of these subtitles are not correct. Some of these lines that are said for these subtitles are not right. That's weird. So that wraps up your menu tour, and that wraps up your supplemental. Thank you all so very much for watching, and as always, good night, everybody. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Thomas and Friends Home Media Reviews. This review is on Brave Little Engines, our second installment of our revival season of this series. We had great success last week with the very best of Thomas and Friends, so naturally I went into Brave Little Engines with very large expectations. Were those expectations met? Stick around and find out. For now, let's move into the history section of Brave Little Engines. So Brave Little Engines is, once again, unique as it was released in both the United Kingdom and Ireland. Surprisingly enough, last week with the very best of Thomas and Friends, that one was a UK and a Australian release. This came out on VHS and DVD in 2003. The wiki here is telling me June 16th, 2003, so please, any fans out there who have found out that this date is wrong, please feel free to correct me in the comments. I don't need to tell you to do that. Many of you do that already. This was only released on VHS once, but the DVD was repacked in June of 2007 in a carry case version. I think this is only for the UK. I don't know about Ireland, but I think this is only for the UK. Maybe Ireland got this too. Not really sure though. This has like one of those handles on it, I guess, for kids to like carry it around. This was a weird gimmick that, oddly enough, I see a lot of these come out of Australia. I don't know why these are a thing. I'm not a huge fan of them. On September 8th, 2008, Brave Little Engines got repacked on DVD with another release known as Peep Peep Party. That title sounds so weird, and wow, not a fan of that. Just Peep Peep Party. That just doesn't make sense to me. Who would do that? Who named that release? I want to know. But wait, we're not done. One more release to talk about here, and it's not in either the UK or Ireland. Brave Little Engines came out in Wales in 2007. Thanks, Wiki, for having these out of order. As you can tell, I don't rehearse these. So we're jumping back a year, 2007, same year that's got the Carry Case reissue. This came out in Wales then. I don't know why they got this so late. I apologize, Wales. I'm not the one who distributed these, though. I'm not sure why I'm the one apologizing to you. But at the same time, I'm sorry for reasons. So not a very long history section, but still got some pretty good releases there. Pretty standard stuff with a VHS and a DVD, and then the DVD getting repacked a few times. We'll go ahead and wrap up the history section here, though. Let's go ahead and jump right into the close-up section of Brave Little Engines. Alrighty, everyone. Here's your close-up look at Brave Little Engines. Up on the top here, all new stories. Thomas and Friends with some... It looks like this poster's been bolted in. Interesting choice. You got a picture of Thomas and James there on the front. Looks to be some Season 8, Season 9 promotional artwork there. Brave Little Engines down there in the bottom. DVD video logo, as well as a Nick Jr. logo. And as seen on CTV, I don't know what that is. That must be like a TV channel over in England. I don't know a lot about these releases, at least not at this point in time, because I'm recording the close-ups before I record the history sections. There's your rating, UC, Universal rating there. Aside, DVD logo, product number, same picture as on the front. Brave Little Engines. Hit logo, Universal logo, VCI logo. Well, Universal rating, not Universal like the company. Same logos as on the front. We've got a little blurb about the disc. Your episodes are listed here. A lot of classic series on here, and we got a little screenshot there from James and the Red Balloon, which doesn't make a lot of sense why it's next to A Friend in Need, but there it is. And then this screenshot, I don't remember what this is from. That one also might be from James and the Red Balloon. But that's on here, so that makes sense. And then there's a screenshot from A Friend in Need, I think that's from. Yeah, A Friend in Need. So yes, that's from A Friend in Need. My brain is getting racked right now trying to remember these episodes. There's some tech specs down there at the bottom, along with ratings and such. Universal, particularly suitable for young children. I guess is what UC means. VCI, barcode. Good stuff. Open it up, and it's a squished up version of the poster art. That looks pretty nice there, squished up onto a disc. So that wraps up your close-up. Let's go ahead and head on back and answer the 5 main questions, as always. Alright, so we're back from the close-up. Now it's time to answer the 5 main questions, as always. Number 1, where can you pick this product up? This question is going to be so difficult for me to answer throughout this revival season, as I alluded to last week. I didn't purchase this, I was sent this, so eBay, probably? You see foreign Thomas stuff pop up on the US eBay a lot, though. I mean, you have to import it, and shipping is usually outrageous. But you still see it. Number 2, is this product still being printed nowadays? It's been over a decade since this product's last release, so no. Gonna confidently say no on that one. Number 3, should you pick this product up? Brave Little Engines is another interesting one for me because this is all Season 6 content. I happen to be a pretty large fan of Season 6. I, for one, think it's better than Season 7. I think that I have voiced that unpopular opinion here on the show many a time. Season 7, though, I've kind of come around to in the last couple of years, but I'll always be a bigger fan of Season 6 because I grew up primarily with Season 6 over Season 7. Season 6 to me feels like a classic series season. I don't know what the quality drop people talk about in this season is. Never noticed a quality drop. In fact, I noticed a quality upgrade because when I loaded up the file to watch this, I noticed all the episodes were in widescreen, how they were originally supposed to be presented. That's amazing, and the UK got it. They've had these episodes in widescreen for years now. The US just started switching their releases to widescreen in like 2013. Maybe it was 2014, I don't really remember, but the mainline Thomas releases in the United States have all been in cropped full screen aspect ratio. We've never gotten widescreen releases of the classic series here in the United States, but England has had it since 2003. How come you guys have never told us that? Specifically me. You never told me that, England, the entire country. I'm personally offended. And despite this being DVD, these episodes looked pretty good. These didn't look like they were mastered off of a VHS like the very best of Thomas and Friends did. This looks like pretty good, high quality rips of these episodes. And the widescreen aspect ratio really at least helped me get sucked into this because, as I mentioned last week, I didn't grow up with Michael Angelus's narration. This is the first time I'm hearing his narration on 7 of these episodes. A Friend in Need had Michael Angelus's narration here in the United States, so I've grown up with that ever since I was a kid. I actually prefer that narration over the Alec Baldwin one. Unpopular opinion, I know. I'm kind of the harbinger of unpopular opinions here in the fandom. But as far as his vocal performance for all of the other stories on this release, I think he did a pretty good job. Do I prefer Alec Baldwin? Yes. Surprisingly enough. I like Alec Baldwin more than I like Michael Angelus on this release. But that's because I'm nostalgic for Season 6. And I'm nostalgic for that bland narration that Alec Baldwin gives in Season 6. Is Michael Angelus better in Season 6 than Alec Baldwin? I don't think that's arguable. Yes, he is. He has a lot more energy than Baldwin did because Angelus didn't just star in a flop of a movie about this kind of thing. But I just personally prefer Alec Baldwin's narration over Angelus's. I'll be the bigger man, though, and admit that yes, Angelus's narration than Baldwin's, but I prefer Baldwin. Can we agree on that? I'm not saying that Baldwin is better, I'm saying I prefer it. There's a difference there. And Angelus's narration never took me out of any of these stories. I like all of the stories that are on this release. Percy and the Haunted Mine, James and the Red Balloon, Toby Had a Little Lamb, Thomas Percy and the Squeak, Rusty Saves the Day even. These are all good episodes. I enjoyed them all immensely. Kind of interesting, though, especially from a US fan's perspective. This release kind of feels like a hodgepodge of certain episodes from Season 6 releases here in the United States, because I look at this, I think, oh, A Friend in Need, that was New Friends for Thomas. Scaredy Engines, Thomas and the Jet Engine. Haunted Mine, also Thomas and the Jet Engine. James and the Red Balloon, that got its own release. Toby Had a Little Lamb, Thomas the Snowy Surprise. Percy and the Squeak, that was Percy's Chocolate Crunch. Edward the Really Useful Engine, James and the Red Balloon. Rusty Saves the Day, James and the Red Balloon. That's just my brain, though, reverting back to childhood and thinking that, oh, this isn't the right release, you know, this has random episodes on it. I should be watching Percy's Chocolate Crunch right now if I wanted to watch Thomas Percy and the Squeak. But I think Brave Little Engines is a solid pickup, and if you really want high quality widescreen rips of these episodes, definitely pick this up, or you could just get the complete Season 6. I think that has them all in widescreen. I recommend Brave Little Engines. I had a good time watching this one. In fact, watching this and the very best of Thomas last week has inspired me to start writing for my series once again. It's inspired me to get back into not only watching classic Thomas, but As I said, right for my series. Yes, my series is not dead, people. It is still coming at some point in time. But I'm feeling inspired again, so that's a good thing, right? Number 4, where should you pick this product up? Same answers as number 1. It's kind of the only place you can find it is the internet. And number 5, what price should you pay? Last week I talked about you're going to have to pay a little bit of a markup for the UK copies of these, especially if you live in the States. I'd say about 15, 20, maybe 25 if that's what you're looking for. That's without shipping too. I mean, shipping's going to kick your ass. So when you're shipping from the UK or even to the UK, so I don't know, $25. Just substitute the cost or put it as a business expense on your taxes for the shipping. Don't actually do that. Don't follow my advice for taxes. Please don't. I have a person that does my taxes. I don't even know how tax fraud is committed. Never tried it personally. Would like to, but I've never tried it. So that is my home media review for Brave Little Engines. I had a good time with this one, really. This was just a fun time to sit down and watch some classic Thomas. I enjoyed it immensely. And as I said, I felt inspired to write again. I actually finished a script the other night and I got started immediately on another one. So I'm blazing away through these scripts, people. Next week, we are covering the UK release, Truckloads of Fun. I don't have any order to these. These are just, I think these were the order in which I unboxed them. That's the order I'm going with. Plus, I think Truckloads of Fun is still classic series, so let's stick with that. And it's not a complete season set. I want to cover the complete season sets at the end of this revival season, and I want to stick with the classic series beforehand. So, Truckloads of Fun. Let's talk about that next week. With that all being said, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this week's episode of Thomas and Friends Home Media Reviews. I'll see you next week. Good night, everybody. Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to Thomas and Friends Home Media Reviews. We've got another menu tour today. This one is for Brave Little Engines. Our menu here is pretty simplistic. However, it is in widescreen, which is interesting and quite important, actually. We've got Thomas there on the front. He is probably saying something to us, but I have this muted for copyright reasons. His eyes are bouncing up and down in his head, and like I said, probably saying something to us. We have 3 options here. We have Watch Thomas, we can pick a story, or we can turn subtitles on and off. So, let's take a look at Pick a Story. Our stories are Friend in Need, Scaredy Engines, Percy and the Haunted Mine, James and the Red Balloon, Toby had a lamb, Thomas, Percy, and the Squeak, Edward the Very Useful Engine, and Rusty Saves the Day. If we go back to the main menu here, I do think it's interesting how the title card is nowhere to be found anywhere on this menu. It wasn't even, there was no title card at the start of this release. It's the Strand VCI logo as well as the Hit logo. But nothing about this menu will tell you that this is Brave Little Engine. The only thing that might tell you anything is the orange background, and that's only because the DVD has an orange background on its front cover. But anything else won't tell you that this is Brave Little Engines, unless you take a look at the story selection. So like we usually do here on these menu tour HMRs, let's take a look at some footage from this and see how good it looks. Let's take a look at A Friend in Need. Because this is a DVD, I can't just click around here on the timeline, although that would make this a heck of a lot quicker. But let's skip to the part where the crash happens. That's the best part of this episode. So, the footage actually looks really good. I think Season 6 and 7 look fantastic in widescreen. It's a little faded. You can tell it was restored completely properly. There's some There's some color fading there. It's not as crisp as it probably could be, but for the most part, this footage looks really good. I would show you another episode here, but I don't want to get copyright claimed. I'm trying to not show you as much footage as I normally would, because the last few times I've done these menu tours and I've showed footage, they've copyright claimed me for it. Even though there's no audio, I'm talking over them, therefore it is transformative content. I'm showing it to you as an example of what these episodes look like as they're represented on this disc, but Mattel doesn't care about that, so I can't show you any more episodes here. So this menu tour is going to be pretty short because there's no bonus content whatsoever here. You can just turn your subtitles on and off, which, okay, do we really need a separate little tab there on the menu for that? We could just do that when the actual release is playing. But that does wrap things up here for Brave Little Engines. I want to thank you guys so very much for watching, and as always, good night, everybody. One day, while he was waiting for a render, he had a review, a humble review. He recorded this review oh so grandly, a wonderful review, a nice review. A review of the UK release of Truckloads of Fun. Truckloads of Fun. The splendor of the review in all its majesty. Like a king of the country of Britain, where this comes from. Honestly, I'm running out of lyrics for this dumb joke. This really dumb joke. I've been capturing VHS footage of VeggieTales for the last, week for my potential children, and that song has been stuck in my head ever since I captured Lyle and the Kindly Viking. So, my apologies for that weird intro. I just felt like singing like Archibald Asparagus. Once again, I am so sorry. Welcome back to Thomas & Friends Home Media Reviews. This review is on Truckloads of Fun. And I assure you, this review will be a truckload of fun. I hate me too for making that joke. My investors made me do it. They threatened me with impeachment. Let's just move right along to the history section before I actually do get impeached. Alright, so the history of Truckloads of Fun. Actually, this one has quite a fair amount of releases. I was surprised at how many times this was put out. This came out in March of 2001 in the United Kingdom. I assume this is just the VHS, though, because I don't see anything just noting that this is just the VHS. So I assume this is the VHS in 2001. Maybe the single disc DVD also came out then? On November 5th, 2001, this came out on VHS in Australia. Remember how I said I would note other countries where these releases were also put out? So, 2001, VHS in Australia. Surprising that this came out in the UK during the first half of the year, and then in Australia second half of the year. Why does Australia always get screwed over in terms of releases? They're always last. I don't know why. However, in Australia, this got released onto DVD in 2005. And let me just say, you know you have an Australian copy of Truckloads of Fun by just looking at that poster art. That is radically different than what was seen in the United Kingdom, which is astounding to me, because normally Thomas is lazy, and they just keep the same posters for each release. They did that with Very Best of Thomas & Friends and Brave Little Engines. With Truckloads of Fun, no, they changed it entirely. And I'm not a big fan of either of these posters. They're both kind of bland. I mean, the Australian one, yeah, it's got some colors to it and everything, but I don't know, the UK one, that's just Thomas looking scared with colors behind him. I don't know. Although the UK one does use Comic Sans for its title on the top. So, I guess that's a point in its favor. Then if we keep moving down the wiki list here, in March of 2007, in the United Kingdom, Truckloads of Fun got a re-release. I don't know if this is the DVD or the original release of the DVD, or if this is the carry case version that you're seeing on your screen right now, as well as the single disc DVD. I don't know. The wiki doesn't tell me. We move forward 2 years to once again March of 2009, and Truckloads of Fun was available in a 2-pack in the United Kingdom with another release known as Bumper Party Collection. United Kingdom, what is up with your titles of these releases? Peep Peep Party and Bumper Party Collection? You can't say the US had bad titles, okay? That opinion is immediately invalid because you have Bumper Party Collection, okay? Immediately invalid. But we are not done because we have some more releases that Truckloads of Fun was included in, specifically in Australia. So, in Australia, in 2005, Truckloads of Fun was included in a 60th anniversary box set. This included the DVDs All Aboard with the Steam Team, Engines to the Rescue, Peep Peep Hooray, 3 Cheers for Thomas, Truckloads of Fun, Twin Trouble, Thomas and the Jet Engine, and surprisingly, The Very Best of Thomas and Friends. I don't remember mentioning that on that episode. My apologies there. In June of 2008, once again in Australia, we got a 3 DVD repackage of Truckloads of Fun, Rusty Saves the Day, and Peep Peep Hooray, 3 Cheers for Thomas. This set was called Trainloads of Thomas Fun. Interesting that it uses the poster art from It's Great to Be an Engine. Some people call that interesting, I call it theft. That's just me though. And the final release that Truckloads of Fun was included in Australia is a release known as the Essential Collection. The releases included in this were The Very Best of Thomas and Friends, Truckloads of Fun, Engines to the Rescue, Thomas's Trusty Friends, and Calling All Engines. Another release we didn't mention on Very Best of Thomas and Friends. Again, I apologize for missing that. And I don't have a date for that. The wiki doesn't give me a date on when that was released. So if anybody knows when that was released, please tell me down in the comments. Also, tell me if this was released on DVD in 2001 in the UK, because I have no idea. The wiki is not a reliable source, but it's the only source that I have. It's about 80% reliable, so it gets like, what, a B- in reliability? It's a good strike rate. So let's wrap up the history section and move right along to the close-up. Alright everyone, here's your close-up look at Truckloads of Fun. Up on the top, Truckloads of Fun. Why does it look like that's written in Comic Sans? Am I the only one that thinks that? I don't know. Thomas and Friends logo there. And next to it, what seems to be the remnants of a sticker. I did not rip that off. Sean, ThomasFan261, I think you might have ripped that off, but I for sure did not do that. I think that's how that came. Take a look at reference pictures, I guess, from when I unboxed this, because I don't remember ripping that sticker off. Thomas up there on the front with another scared look on his face. The UK loves its scared Thomas. And, oh, that's clever. I just realized that. Look, it's like his funnel is making the Thomas and Friends logo with the steam. That's nice. Some rails there on the back. This is in a rainbow pattern, which is kind of cool. DVD video logo. And your rating, UC, with Ghislaine. The UK, man, you guys are really creative with your poster art. Ours are pretty standardized over here, but you guys are really creative with this kind of stuff. I like it. DVD logo, product number, Thomas taken off the front, Truckloads of Fun. Logos down there at the bottom along with your rating. The back, once again, man, creative poster art here for the back. It's always Truckloads of Fun, 10 fantastic adventures, and a song. That's cool. Featuring Thomas, his friends, and those troublesome trucks. Oh, I get it, because Truckloads of Fun. Haha, I understand. There's your list of episodes, and your song down there at the bottom with a little music note next to it. Got some screenshots here on the side, along with a pretty good screenshot of a little truck there. That's cool. And some more trucks there. Trucks. They all have trucks in them. That's cool. Extra features. Hey, we got a game. Spot the difference. How many suitcases in a quiz? That's cool. Here's your tech specs and ratings and such. Barcode, all that good stuff. And then on the inside, ooh, we actually have some artwork here. So let me just take the disc out and show you the disc first. Squished up version of the poster art, but we've got a little ring around here in the middle. And this has some copyright information stuff on it, telling you that this is PAL Region 2. Product number, aspect ratio is 4:3. Copyright Ghislaine, 2001. All rights reserved. Running time, 60 minutes approximately. Artwork on the inside features this. This is planetghislaine.com. Fine Family Entertainment. So I guess these are all franchises that are owned by Ghislaine. And I find it weird that that's Thomas from Thomas and the Magic Railroad, is it not? I'm pretty sure that's a promotional shot from Thomas and the Magic Railroad of the Thomas model. So that's weird. I don't know what any of these other shows are. I just thought it was cool that there was artwork on the inside of this. So that wraps up our close-up. Let's head on back and answer the 5 main questions as always. Alright, so we're back from the close-up. Now it's time to answer the 5 main questions as always. Number 1, where can you pick this product up? It's still so difficult for me to answer this because I don't live in the UK. eBay? Online retailers? Amazon maybe? Number 2, is this product still being printed nowadays? I can confidently say no to that. Although, I don't know, Australia seems to love to put this into multi-packs. So, who knows? Australia could have a multi-pack of this out right now. It could be in a, 10-pack called the Essential Collection. I just knocked a hanger because I'm in my closet right now. Never forget that I am not in a professional recording booth. I am in a closet. This YouTube money's really paying off. Number 3, should you pick this product up? Before we move on, though, I would like to say that I have figured out what that sticker is on the front of Truckloads of Fun. If you recall in the close-up, I mentioned I didn't know what that sticker was. I was watching some of Sean, or Thomas Fan 261's, his own series, his Thomas UK DVD review series. Apparently that sticker is to promote Calling All Engines. Maybe this got a reprint in 2005 on DVD, and that's where that sticker comes from. Truckloads of Fun is another release that I had pretty solid expectations for going in. I had taken a peek at the story selection on it. Once again, another set of stories that I had never heard Michael Angelis narrate. Although this has a heavy selection of Ringo Starr on it. As a matter of fact, I think it's more Ringo Starr than it is Michael Angelis. There's only, 4 episodes on here that are Michael, and then 6 that are Ringo? So I'd heard the majority of these episodes, just not in the UK dub. I'd heard them in the US dub. But I'd heard Ringo narrate a good majority of these before. And it's got some good episodes on it. Thomas and the Trucks, good episode. Troublesome Trucks, or as we call it here in the United States, Foolish Freight Cars. Good episode. I enjoy that one a lot. Here's where we start to get a little bit odd, though. The description says that this is about Thomas and the Troublesome Trucks, and about how the Troublesome Trucks are causing problems on Sodor. Tenders and turntables, trouble in the shed, off the rails, heroes, 4 little engines, and make someone happy. Those episodes I don't recall have Troublesome Trucks in them, and even if they do, they don't cause problems. I mean, I guess for heroes, the Troublesome Trucks make Bill and Ben mess up the yard, so you could kind of make that one seem like it's about Troublesome Trucks. Off the rails, that's just Gordon being a jerk and not wanting to take a train because he's a petulant child. That has nothing to do with Troublesome Trucks. I guess they're mentioned. Thomas, Percy, and the coal. I guess the trucks push Percy into the coal pit or something. I don't know. Mavis, that one makes sense. The Troublesome Trucks trick her. 4 little engines. That one makes absolutely no sense. Neither does make someone happy. And the funny thing about these screenshots is on the back of this, there's screenshots that aren't on this release. Screenshots from Diesel's Devious Deed. I think this one is from Percy's Big Surprise or something. Hang on, let me pull out, make someone happy here. A big surprise for Percy. Sorry, this one's from A Big Surprise for Percy. The top one is from Domeless Engines. I don't get why these screenshots are on the back of this release. They're not on this. Regardless of that blatant fact, get on with facts and logic, am I right? This release is good. I enjoy it. I think it is a pretty good collection of stories. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me why the first two parts of an arc are on here and the conclusion's not here. That being Tenders and Turntables and Trouble in the Shed. Percy Runs Away is not on here. It just seems like a random grab bag, though. I mean, we start off with a bunch of Season 1, move into Season 2, 2 Season 3, 1 Season 4, 1 Season 5. That's a grab bag of episodes, man. It feels like somebody hit the randomize button on Google for episodes and was like, let's put these 10 on here. That makes sense. Oh, the majority of them are about troublesome trucks? Yeah, we'll call it Truckloads of Fun. That makes total sense. I always find, though, releases with hybrid narrators interesting. It's like Thomas and the Jet Engine. I was always fascinated by that release as a kid because it had two narrators on it. It had Alec Baldwin and Michael Brandon. And I think Michael Angelis does a pretty good job with the last 4 stories he's got to tackle here. I like his narration. I prefer George Carlin, though. I've talked about that before. But his narration is good here. And I like the fact that the song Accidents Will Happen is included on this release, because most accidents are caused by the troublesome trucks. And hey, a bonus feature. That's surprising. The UK doesn't get bonus features for some reason. Besides the bland poster art, and the fact that this uses Comic Sans, which is both a blessing and a curse, I recommend Truckloads of Fun because this is just a really good time. It's like Brave Little Engines last week. I just had a good time watching this, despite the fact that the episodes feel very randomized. I mean, this is classic Thomas, though, so none of them are really bad episodes. Just a random tangent here. Make Someone Happy is on this release, and that made me think about my HMR on Make Someone Happy. Do you guys remember I didn't recommend that? I was pretty hard on Make Someone Happy. And I don't know why. Looking back on that episode and on that release in general, I like Make Someone Happy. Why did I give that a red arrow? What's wrong with me? I'm just shocked I haven't gotten more controversy for that, but now I've just put a target on my back, so if you do end up going to that video, please don't leave hate comments. I regret that red arrow. I like that release. I like the story a lot here. Number 4, where should you pick this product up? Same answers as number 1. And number 5, what price should you pay? $15-20. Standard import prices. That's without shipping, of course. Shipping is astronomically expensive, but if you can pull it off, definitely do it. So that wraps up this HMR on Truckloads of Fun. Another fun release, no pun intended. The episodes are randomized, but I enjoyed watching this one. I don't think I ever mentioned the video quality either. The episodes look pretty good on this. They didn't look like they were mastered off of a VHS like Very Best of Thomas and Friends. They didn't look like they were in HD or anything, but they look good for 480p. And I refuse to comment, once again, on the fact that the intro and outro plays for every single episode. How did you grow up with that, UK fans, and not want to split your head open? How did you do that? I want to know. That's why you all are stronger than us Americans. I am thoroughly convinced of this. Next week, I'm just taking a look at the release we're covering for next week. It's Together on the Tracks. This looks to be the UK equivalent of Come Ride the Rails, actually. I'm taking a quick peek at the stories here. So we're looking at the UK equivalent of Come Ride the Rails in Together on the Tracks next week. Be sure to join me for that review, and I can promise you with 100% certainty I will not sing like Archibald Asparagus next week. I don't know why any of you would have liked that. I'm not even going to say. If you liked it, leave a like. Nope, none of you did. None of you did. I'm thoroughly convinced of that. Do not say that you liked it because you didn't. You are lying to yourself. Thank you guys so very much for watching. I'll see you next week. Good night, everybody. Or maybe the DVD itself came out in 2005. I don't know. Oh. My allergies have been awful today, I swear. I didn't even want to record this today, but I've got to get this done. Oh. I just couldn't breathe there for a solid second. Man. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Thomas and Friends Home Media Reviews. We're back for another menu tour, and this time it's on Truckloads of Fun. It's been a minute since we've done just a menu tour episode of Home Media Reviews, so let me catch you up. Back when I first covered the group of UK DVDs that was sent to me by my good friend Sean, I didn't have a way to play the discs over here in the US. These discs are region 2, US is region 1, they don't play well together. However, I figured out a way. I changed the region settings on one of my external Blu-ray drives. Now that one is just a region 2 drive, so I'm filling in the blanks of my menu tours here. So here we are for Truckloads of Fun. You wouldn't know that though by looking at this menu, because we just have a classic early 2000s Thomas and Friends logo there. And then if I hit play on the menu here, because it'll go to the actual release if I don't, we've got Watch Thomas up there in green, or green border, excuse me. We have Pick a Story underneath it. There's games down below there, and a sing-along song. I'll go ahead and spoil what the sing-along song is. Its accidents will happen. It doesn't have its own menu. It just takes you right into the song. So if we go to Pick a Story here, we are instantly transported there because VLC is great. If you haven't started using VLC to not only play your disc media back on your PCs, just watching videos in general, VLC is awesome. You can throw literally any file format at this and it plays it perfectly. So we have Thomas and the Trucks, Troublesome Trucks, we have Tenors and Turntables, Trouble in the Shed, Off the Rails, Thomas Percy and the Coal, Mavis, Heroes, Four Little Engines, and finally Make Someone Happy. Kind of an eclectic mix of episodes here. Now normally I'd say let's take a look at the video quality, but two reasons why we're not going to do that here. I know I just talked about how great that VLC is, but for some reason VLC and Camtasia 8 don't mix. They don't like each other. I did tests for this earlier today, and whenever I would go into an episode, Camtasia will flip out and not record the rest of the video. I don't know why it does that. My guess is because it's in VLC. It never did this when I used the Windows DVD player app. But last time I showed footage, I got copyright claimed and had to fight that tooth and nail to get the money that I was owed because I only played 15 seconds of footage and I talked over it the entire time. Thanks, Mattel. You're so great when it comes to copyright. So I'll just tell you that the footage looks pretty good, especially when it comes to Four Little Engines. For an episode that never got released over here in the United States, it was only available on VHS, it looks about as good as it can. Now we can move along to everyone's favorite part of the release, the Games tab. So the games are interesting. They don't have any dialogue telling you what to do. You just kind of have to figure that out yourself. So for how many suitcases, we have to count how many suitcases there are. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom. Watch. I'm right. Yay. However, there's no narrator telling you that. There's no Sir Topham Hatt voiceover saying, count how many suitcases you can find on screen. Hit the answers button when you think you found them all. It's literally just, here's an image. Count suitcases. Same deal with this game, the Spot the Difference game. Again, there's no Sir Topham Hatt telling you, spot the difference between the two Thomases. You'll win a prize if you get all of them right, or something like that. So I'm sure everyone's yelling at me in the comments what the differences are, but I'm pretty sure I know. This up here is white instead of black, like on this one. There's a steam cloud above Thomas here, there's not one over here, and I think... having trouble figuring out where the other one is. Oh wait, I see it. No, I see it. There's a door over here. There's no door over here on this shed. It's just a brick wall. I think that's it. And it is! I'm correct. But now the fun part, the quiz. Again, there's no narrator telling you anything about this. I guess in the UK they treat their kids with more respect. Over here in America, we have to explain everything to our kids, and then over there it's just here you go, we're going to throw you into this and you're going to figure it out, alright? That was more of an Australian accent, excuse me. But let's do this quiz real quick here. Who reverses into the engine shed next to Thomas? That would be Edward. Oh, are you like building a puzzle thing? Which tunnel did Thomas take the trucks through? That would be Henry's tunnel. That is kind of an interesting question, though. You kind of have to think about that. Although in the episode they do say as he rushed through Henry's tunnel, so... How many trucks did Thomas pull? Okay, I know it's 10, but hear me out here. This question would kind of be a little confusing to a kid. Because you see that long line of trucks and you probably think, that's probably 20 trucks there, especially if you don't really know how to count yet. 1 is absurd. That's obviously not right. But 10 is the answer. See? We don't get questions like that over here in America. It's like, what color is Thomas? What color is Cranky? What color is the Fat Controller's jacket? Which engine drives past Thomas when the Fat Controller's talking to him? James. He made a lot of cameos in Season 1. Hey, we made a little puzzle thing of the shot of Thomas. That's actually when James puffs past him. How about that? Yeah, we'll do one more. I guess you get 4 questions per episode on here, so that's pretty cool. It's like 40 questions? That's a lot of trivia. What did they use to mend the hole in James's coach? It's a bootlace, but okay, we'll go with shoelace. I guess we'll give it the mulligan there. Yep, I was right. What did the trucks call James? They called him a hero. No, a red monster. Yay, I'm right. Again. Which engine offered to help James recover the trucks? That would be Edward. Good. Don't let them beat you. What hill did James have to pull the trucks over? That would be Gordon's Hill. However, I would like to see Harold's Hill be adapted into someone's series. I want to see that. Someone out there, make that a thing. Yay, we made the puzzle. Let's go. And then it goes on. We're at Tenders and Turntables now. I'm not going to subject you all to more mind-numbing trivia. I will, however, subject you to the end of this video. Thank you all so very much for watching. I will, however, subject you to the end of this video. Was truckloads of fun? Truckloads of fun? No, the menu was incredibly basic. But hey, the quiz part, that was pretty cool, right? Definitely can't say the Comic Sans font is the best thing about it. I want to thank you guys so very much for watching, and I will catch you all in the next video. Good night, everybody. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Thomas and Friends Home Media Reviews. This review is on Come Ride the Rails. I swear though I'm having deja vu. I thought we already reviewed Come Ride the Rails. What? What do you mean this is a different release? No, it's got the same stories on it. Okay. Sorry about that, I was just informed by a fake producer Dave that we are actually talking about Together on the Tracks, the UK equivalent of Come Ride the Rails. You can see how I got a little bit mixed up there. Let's not waste any time, let's jump right into the history section of Together on the Tracks. So, Together on the Tracks is an interesting release because I know throughout this revival season I've been showing and covering releases that are put out in other countries as opposed to just the United Kingdom. Like a couple of weeks ago we had some releases that came out in Australia. Together on the Tracks though came out in a multitude of different countries, so I'm gonna do my best to compress these down as much as I can and not waste your time too much. Together on the Tracks first hit DVD in the UK on March 5th 2007. This came out a year after Come Ride the Rails in the United States did, interestingly enough. I gotta say though, the poster art on this is blander than the US version. I like the Come Ride the Rails poster art more than Together on the Tracks, but this promo shot is pretty okay, I suppose. This then got a reprint in January of 2009, also in the United Kingdom. At this point in time, I do not know if this has different poster art. Okay, the poster doesn't look different at all, not on the wiki at least, so I guess it just got reprinted in 2009. However, a year before that, in February of 2008, Together on the Tracks was released in Australia. This one has a carry case version, unlike the version in the UK. This has a little handle on it that you can carry it around. That's fun. We've got 2 more releases. Well, actually, 3 more releases in 2009. My apologies. The countries of Norway, Denmark, Sweden, and also Finland got Together on the Tracks in 2009 on DVD. Interestingly, though, in Sweden and I think also in Finland, this was released under the title We're Together. So the title was changed for some reason. I don't know why. And then in 2010, Together on the Tracks was released in Spain on DVD and also in the Czech Republic on DVD. However, it got another title change for Spanish audiences. This was known as Thomas and Friends Volume 5, and for Czech audiences, this was known as Together on the Track. Or no, Together on Track. Not Together on the... Together on Tracks. That's a lot of weird languages and weird releases for this. I had no idea this was put out in several other countries, but it is kind of cool to see Thomas content in other countries. With all that being said, that wraps up the history section. Let's move right along to the close-up. Alrighty everyone, here's your close-up look at Together on the Tracks. Start off here on the top. This looks like a little sun. It says 6 exciting stories. That's cool. Thomas and Friends logo, Together on the Tracks. Thomas, Percy, and James on what looks to be the Sodor Suspension Bridge. That's a really good picture of those guys. Also included is 2 fun songs and a Join the Dot game. We've got 2 ratings. Here we've got a G rating and a universal rating. That's nice. I like this poster. It's very well done. Got our Hit Entertainment logo, Thomas and Friends logo, Together on the Tracks. The UK, man, they always like to take like the main picture from the poster art and put it on the side. Because there it is. Weird. Your 2 ratings once again and your product number. The back features Thomas and Friends logo, Together on the Tracks, a little blurb. And here's something else about the UK stuff that I really like. Each of the stories has a little description about them. They don't waste time on the blurb here. They tell you what each of the stories is about here, and that's nice. You've only got 6 stories here, but look, these are like full-length paragraphs for all of these stories. It's really nicely done. Screenshots down there at the bottom with names: Molly, Edward, Rheneas, and Skarloey. Your extras are listed down there. Your barcodes down there as well, and tech specs and ratings. On the inside, your disc is, of course, a squished up version of the poster art, and it translates pretty well to disc. So that wraps things up for our close-up. Let's head on back and answer the 5 main questions, as always. Alright, so we're back from the close-up. Now it's time to answer the 5 main questions, as always. Number 1, where can you pick this product up? Well, shoot, man, if you just want to watch the episodes and you don't care about the narrator, you can find this on eBay, even in local stores, on Come Ride the Rails if you live in the United States. For the United Kingdom, if you would like to purchase this and you live in the United States, as I do, imports, of course, as always. Number 2, is this product still being printed nowadays? I can confidently say no to this one. Number 3, should you pick this product up? I don't remember my review for Come Ride the Rails all that well, but when I popped this in, I was not exactly excited. Well, pop this in a metaphorical sense. I remember this release being okay when I watched it back in the old days of Thomas and Friends home media reviews. I wasn't exactly too thrilled with the first episode. Molly's Special just, that's a bland episode to me. I don't really care for it all that much. Respect for Gordon, though, now that episode I really enjoy. I don't know what it is about that, episode. I just think it really shows Gordon in a actual character development state. I just wish that that character arc stuck. That's my main problem with Thomas in general, is the fact that none of the character arcs actually stick. They're just story to story, and it feels like none of the characters' changes actually stay. But other than that, Respect for Gordon is a really good episode, and I highly enjoyed it. Emily's Knows Best was just funny because of the comedic portions with Percy and Toby crashing and Emily screwing everything up. The episode itself is fine, but I laugh my ass off at the crashes. Saving Edward? Okay episode, not great. We've seen this style of episode before, back in season 6, with Edward the Really Useful Engine, but this one was pretty good. Rheneas and the Dinosaur was just kind of eh. I don't like the characterizations of Skarloey and Rheneas. I mean, Rheneas' characterization was okay, but Skarloey is a blithering child doofus, and I really just don't like that. Thomas and the Golden Eagle, another okay episode. It wasn't the worst one on here. Molly's Special is most definitely the worst episode on this release. However, a good majority of these episodes I wasn't really bothered by. As I said, Respect for Gordon, Emily Knows Best, and Saving Edward are pretty good. And I think I can eke over Thomas and the Golden Eagle over to the spot of, yeah, that one's okay. I would have loved to taken a look at the DVD extras, but I can't. So, I don't know what songs are on here, and I don't know how good the Join the Dots game is. Can't be that good. It's a game on a DVD, but, you know, could have been at least kind of fun. It could have been like what was the bowling game on like Sticky Situations? I don't even remember what that game was called, but that was fun. I'm kind of blowing through this review here because I've already looked at these episodes on Come Ride the Rails, and I don't know. I don't even remember if I recommended Come Ride the Rails or not, but Together on the Tracks, I think I can eke this over a recommend. I think Respect for Gordon and Saving Edward are episodes that they're not amazing, but they're pretty good for this era. They're not on classic series levels or anything like that. But I think I can eke this one over the recommend stature. I should have gone back and watched my Come Ride the Rails episode before I recorded this one. That would have given me more context here, but I think I can eke this one over the side of recommend. This release is already superior because of the fact that the episodes are in the proper aspect ratio in widescreen. They're not cropped for 4:3. I really just don't understand why it took the United States so freaking long to change over to widescreen. I mean, we didn't get widescreen episodes on DVDs until like 2014. That made absolutely no sense to me. And hey, I can give this one props because we don't have to listen to the intro every single time before each episode begins. This one plays like a United States DVD, and I love that. I don't like the new intro. I think it's bad, and it's not as good as the classic series one. But man, I only had to listen to it once. And at the end, when the roll call song played, I didn't realize how much I missed that. Number 4, where should you pick this product up? Same answers as number 1. And number 5, what price should you pay? This is so difficult for me, because you can literally just buy these in the United States for like $5-6 on Come Ride the Rails on DVD. However, if you want to watch these episodes in the proper aspect ratio, and I forgot to mention Michael Angelos is once again the narrator on this, and he does a better job than Michael Brandon does in several of these episodes, especially in Respect for Gordon, which again is my favorite episode on this release. I just think that one's pretty good overall. Crash is epic. If you want to see these episodes in the proper aspect ratio with a better narration, I say you shouldn't pay any more than $20-25 for it if you're going to import it from the United Kingdom over here to the United States. So that is my rather short review for Together on the Tracks. I'm surprised at how quickly I breezed through that. Usually I talk more during the end portions, but I just didn't have a lot to say about Together on the Tracks because, like I said, I've already reviewed it before. It was cool to see these broadcasted in their proper aspect ratio, and I do think Michael Angelos is better than Michael Brandon throughout most of these episodes. Next week, we are jumping into the final stretch. We've only got 3 regular episodes left. It's crazy, I know, that we've been on this journey together, but I'll still be with you in this series at least for 3 more weeks. If you don't count supplementals, because after this because after this revival season ends, we're going to have like 3 of those, and then regular home media reviews. Season 3 premieres, so isn't that great? That one doesn't get as many views as this series does, but I kind of like that series better. So if you haven't watched just regular home media reviews, tune in probably about a month and a half for when Season 3 premieres. I'm excited for that one. Next week, we begin our look at UK season sets. I've got 3 of them to showcase on the show here. The first one we're going to look at is Season 3, which, Sean, I think I know why you sent me this season. This is your favorite Thomas and Friends season. I recently watched your countdown and ranked video, my guy, so now I understand why you sent me this season, because it's your favorite. And I'm excited to rewatch this entire season with Michael Angelis's narration. We'll see how it compares to the United States version. I don't think it'll be better than George Carlin, because George Carlin is just amazing. I'm sorry, all of you UK fans out there, but I like him better than Michael Angelis. Sue me. I've been saying that throughout this entire season. Thank you guys so very much for watching. I will see you for Season 3's review next week. Good night, everybody. All right, here we go. It's almost 2 o'clock in the morning. I have not recorded in a good 3 weeks. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Thomas and Friends Home Media Reviews. I just burped. It was a silent burp, so I probably could have gotten away with it if I hadn't said anything, but here we are. You can tell it's going to be one of those episodes where I'm just off the wall and kind of random because it's so late at night. But I would argue I do my best work late at night. This episode is on the complete 3rd series of Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends. I have to say series because that's what the blokes over in the United Kingdom call these. These aren't seasons, they're series. I'm sorry, but season is just a better word. Let's jump right into the history section of the complete 3rd season of Thomas. So the complete 3rd season of Thomas and Friends was released in the United Kingdom on VHS, surprisingly, in the year 2000. I have no idea how they fit 26 episodes onto a single VHS tape. A lot of VHS tapes could barely handle 6 episodes, let alone 26, so that's astounding that they actually got this to fit on there. I'm also curious to see how these episodes looked on VHS. They couldn't have looked good, right? I just didn't expect to hear that a complete season set got released on VHS. That's wild to me. Then in 2004, we got a DVD release of the complete 3rd season of Thomas and Friends under the title Classic Collection, which is the same title that was that the VHS was released under. So it has similar poster art. Thomas's face has been changed. The poster is now green. I actually like the DVD poster more than the VHS poster. The yellow coloring on the VHS looks good. I don't like how Thomas's face is like shocked. It just makes me think of Truckloads of Fun and how that Thomas made absolutely no sense on the front cover of that. So I like this classic smiling Thomas on the front of the complete 3rd season. Oh, whoa, hang on a second. A live update here as I am reading the wiki article. Apparently, this was not released individually in 2004. This was released as a part of a complete classic collection box set. Yeah, apparently this was released in 2004 in a box set known as the Classic Collection, and This included seasons 1 to 5 in 2004 in the United Kingdom. I think a version of this box set is one that the Unlucky Tug here on YouTube actually owns. If I'm remembering correctly, I think it was in his Thoughts on Season 7 review. He was talking about how he owned these season sets, and he showed a brief shot of this giant box set, and I think it's this box set. I'll have to go back and rewatch that video, but I think it's this box set. 2006 was actually when the version with the green cover came out. However, in 2010, Hit Entertainment re-released the third season of Thomas and Friends with a very basic poster art. You got Classic Collection up at the top, Thomas and Henry down on the front cover, and Complete Series 3 in a gold-plated banner down at the bottom. Not a fan of this. It looks very basic, but it's okay, I guess. I'm actually more of a fan of the 2012 re-release of the Complete Series 3. Although, is that image from Season 3 of Thomas on the front cover there? I think that's Salty next to him. Somebody can correct me in the comments, but I think that's Salty next to him. That's not even from Season 3, man. That's so weird. And according to the wiki, the 2012 release features the restored version of episodes from Season 3. I don't know anything about the restoration of these episodes. I just know some fans prefer the restorations to the OG versions, and some fans prefer the OG versions to the restorations. I don't know. I just go with what I can find and what's on my screen. I usually go actually for Thomas HD Classics renders of these episodes because they look amazing. So I don't know the difference. Maybe they look good, maybe they don't. My version is from 2006, so I saw those cuts of the episodes. Speaking of that 2006 release, let's flash back, because in 2006, the Complete Season 3 came out on DVD in Australia. This version had a carry case edition, which is pretty common in Australia. And hold the phone, another development here. Apparently, there are two versions of the VHS release of Complete Season 3 of Thomas and Friends. There's a 2-tape version and a single tape version. That's crazy to me. You're seeing both the tapes on the screen right now. That is so weird that they put out two different versions of Season 3. I'd assume the one with 2 tapes would look better, though, because you're using up less space on the VHS tapes. You don't have to squeeze as much onto it. You can let the files breathe. I don't know, though. That's so weird to me. Why is that a thing? This just goes to show you I don't rehearse anything before I go into the booth to record these videos. I learn on the fly. I do a little bit of research beforehand, but most of it is done while the episode is rolling. So we're just going to roll along here. Let's move on to the close-up section for the complete third season of Thomas and Friends. Alrighty, everyone. Here's your close-up look at the complete third series of Thomas and Friends. Up here at the top, we got First Time Ever on DVD in a little red triangle. The complete third series, and it says The Classic Adventures of Thomas and Friends. Very nicely done here. 26 exciting episodes with a cool picture of Thomas, and once again, he is making the Thomas and Friends logo with his funnel. Very cool there. Classic Collection logo down there at the bottom, based on the Railway series by the Reverend W. Awdry. DVD logo and a universal rating. I like this poster art. It's very standardized, and I like it a lot. The side features that logo from the front and the picture of Thomas from the front, and the DVD video logo as well as your product number. The spine says Complete Third Series. Number 3 down there at the bottom. Hit logo, VCI logo, universal rating. The back, Complete Third Series once again. A little blurb about this release. 26 classic stories not to be missed, and it lists all your stories there. There is your cast and crew information down there on the bottom, or production stuff, copyright, stuff. Ratings, tech specs, all that stuff down there at the bottom. Making tracks to great destination. So this was released a little bit later in the Thomas and Friends life. Pop this open. Your disc is a squished up version of the poster art, and it looks pretty cool. I know these close-ups have been a bit short throughout this little mini-series of Thomas and Friends home media reviews, but that's just because when you filmed over 10 close-ups in a day, you start to run out of stuff to say. So apologies if they've been a little bit short. I don't really know how to elongate them. There's just not really a lot of stuff to comment on. With that being said, that concludes this close-up. Let's head on back and answer the 5 main questions as always. Alright, so we're back from the close-up. Now it's time to answer the 5 main questions as always. Number 1, where can you pick this product up? eBay, online retailers, any place that will import to the United States. I'm kind of sounding like a broken record here. Number 2, is this product still being printed nowadays? No, unfortunately. Unless you count unauthorized fan restorations like Thomas HD Classics, or the fact that the complete 3rd season of Thomas is available on Amazon Prime if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber. But that's not a physical printing, so no. Number 3, should you pick this product up? I noted last week that I figured out the reason why Sean sent me the complete 3rd season of Thomas and Friends. This is his favorite season. And I have to say, this season is very well done. I sat down for, I think it was a couple Saturdays ago, and watched the entire 3rd season. It took probably, 2.5 hours to sit down and watch the entire thing. And it's a solid season overall. Watching these episodes with Michael Angelis' narration, though, I feel that his narration in this season was what took me out of it the most. And that's because I grew up primarily with George Carlin narrating these episodes. So hearing certain lines of dialogue that are repeated not necessarily in the way that I'm used to hearing them, or hearing a new line here or there, was a cool experience, and it made me feel like I was watching these stories for the first time. But also it was conflicting with my brain saying, this is not how it's supposed to be. This is not what I'm used to hearing, you know? And that's not even to say that Angelis does a bad job here. No. It'd be unfair of me to say that he did a bad job, because he for sure did not. He's a great narrator. He really is. And if you grew up with him, you're going to love every single story on this release with his narration on it. For me, though, I still prefer George Carlin, and for some odd reason, I couldn't get into a majority of these episodes because of the fact that it wasn't how I remembered it. The episode that really did it for me was Diesel Does It Again. That episode, Michael Angelis' Diesel voice, I don't think it fits the character. Controversial opinion, but I don't think it fits Diesel at all. It's kind of snide and kind of like, it kind of sounds like this. I prefer George Carlin's, "Wake up there, Percy. I'm to shunt some dreadfully tiresome cars." I prefer that kind of voice for my Diesel. That's just a personal preference. Please don't hate on me in the comments for that. And the episodes overall looked pretty okay. They didn't look terrible. They didn't look like they were ripped straight from a VHS, although you can tell that they have aged primarily from watching these episodes ripped from the disc. And yeah, they look fine. I do think they had to sacrifice some picture quality to fit all of these episodes onto a single disc. The early years, if you remember in the United States, that split season 1 onto 2 discs, and that is some of the best Thomas footage that you'll see nowadays. That's not Thomas HD Classics. That's been officially released. That, some of the best footage I've seen in a long time. This one, they definitely had to sacrifice some picture quality in order to fit all these episodes onto a disc. I think this should have been 2 discs. That's just me, though. I have a feeling we're going to run into a picture quality problem when we cover the 9th and 12th seasons coming up here in a couple of weeks, because those are not 2 discs. Those are 1 disc each, and I'm kind of dreading on what those are going to look like. I'm dreading on going back to watch those seasons, more than likely, but also the picture quality. I'm just looking at the back of the case here. I'm not seeing any bonus features that are listed here, so I guess this is literally just the episodes, and that's it. It's pretty bare bones, actually. However, we have the return of listening to the intro and outro for every single episode, and if you've paid attention to my last few reviews, you know I'm not a fan of that. It's not something that I prefer. I praised Together on the Tracks last week for not doing that, and now we've come full circle. It's like the snake eating its own tail. We have to return to this point. Honestly, though, when the credits start, I just skip to the next episode and just kind of not pay attention to the intro, or at least I try my best not to. Then when the episode actually starts, that's when my focus shifts back to the TV. But I don't know what it is, man. That whole phenomenon where it's, oh, we have to watch the intro and outro for every single episode. It just, something about that irks me. Not a fan. But I am a fan of Season 3, because it, of course, introduces my favorite character, Oliver. Didn't think Angelus ruined that, so thumbs up for me. I really like Season 3. It's not my favorite classic season of Thomas. I think my favorite classic season, personally, would probably be... I think it's a tie between 2 and 5. I don't know what it is about 2, but I've always really liked Season 2. And 5 is great. Season 3, I'd say, would be a close second to those. I think it's a really good season. So, Sean, I'm sorry, but Season 3 is not my favorite. But I am giving this a recommendation because I think this is a great way to own the entirety of Season 3 if you feel the need to do so. If you want the classic series physically represented on your shelf, you're not going to get that in the United States, ever. It's never going to happen. Unless you rip the episodes from your own personal library and burn them to a disc and put them on your shelf and say, that's my burned Season 3 copy, you're not going to get that in the United States unless you get a foreign copy, unless you get a UK or an Australian version of Thomas and Friends Season 3. I feel like if I didn't recommend this, Sean would hop a plane and come over here and personally beat the ever-loving crap out of me. So, yes, I recommend Season 3. Number 4, where should you pick this product up? You definitely should find this on places like eBay, because it's kind of the only place you can find it. Unless for some odd reason it shows up at your retail store, which has happened to me before. I've seen foreign copies of, not Thomas stuff, but other films show up in local retail stores. And number 5, what price should you pay? I'm going to stick with my normal price of $15 to $20 because it's going to be expensive to import this from the United Kingdom, especially with today's economy and the current world situation and tariffs and a bunch of factors that are going to make this expensive to get from the United Kingdom. But if you're willing to make the sacrifice of quite a few of your hard-earned dollars, 15 to 20 to get this, I think is well worth it. So folks, that wraps up my review for the complete 3rd season of Thomas and Friends. As I alluded to earlier, next week we are going to be covering the complete 9th season of Thomas and Friends. Sean, I'd like an explanation for why you sent me the complete 9th season, man. Because I think it was because you had a second copy of it, but why in the world do you have a second copy of Season 9? That's so random. I don't know if I've seen Season 9 in its entirety. I know that there are some episodes that haven't been released physically here in the United States from seasons like 11 and 10, but I don't know if I've seen all of Season 9. Perhaps I have. I mean, I'll find out by the time next week's episode comes out, but I don't know. I am genuinely curious, though. I think now that the reboot trailer has come out, and everybody is universally allied with each other that thing is an abomination, I think it's going to cause me to appreciate the Thomas and Friends series when it was under hit. Even though it was babyfied and even though it wasn't very good, it's better than a complete reimagining of Sodor and a complete bastardization of the characters that we have all grown to love. So I think I'm going to be a little bit kinder to season 9, no matter how I feel about it now, because of the context with the reboot coming out here soon, and the fact that children are going to be raised on that. Not mine. Mine will be raised on the classics, of course, but they won't be raised on that 2D garbage. With that all being said, thank you guys so very much for watching. I will see you all next week. Good night, everybody. Number 3, where should you pick... Nope, that's the wrong. I've been doing this for what? 6... No, not even... Maybe 6 years? I don't know. It's too late for this. Hello everyone, welcome back to Thomas and Friends Home Media Reviews. Last week we took a look at the complete 3rd season of Thomas and Friends. We're jumping ahead a little bit farther into the future because I have season 9 here on DVD to take a look at on the show, because Sean didn't send me seasons 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8. This is your fault, Sean. I blame you for everything. Just kidding. Thank you so much for sending me this. So yes, this is a review on Season 9, and I mentioned last week that I wasn't sure if I had seen all of Season 9. I had seen most of it, actually. It's hard for me to distinguish which episodes are from which season in the newer hit era, but we'll talk about that later on in this review. Right now, let's go ahead and jump right into the history section of the complete 9th series of Thomas and Friends. So the 9th season of Thomas and Friends, as it was released onto physical media, has a kind of a short history here. We begin on January 19th, 2009, when the complete 9th series of Thomas and Friends was released onto DVD in the United Kingdom. Single disc. Just one disc. We'll talk about picture quality and such later, but how in the world did they think this was a good idea? Then, over a year later, in July of 2010, the United Kingdom got a reprinted version of the complete Season 9. This has the poster art style that's similar to the 2010 reprint of Season 3. That was also included in the Classic Collection box set, which, again, we talked about last week. And I was correct. I went back and watched the thoughts on Season 7 from the Unlucky Tug. This Classic Collection box set is the one that he in fact has. But oh, how could I forget our friends down under in Australia, because on March 4th, 2010, the complete Season 9 came out in Australia. Still don't know why it takes Australia so long to finally get these releases. I mean, I think earlier on in this revival season, there was like a 3 to 4 year gap with one of the releases. I don't remember off the top of my head. For you guys, this was just a few weeks ago. For me, this is like 2-3 months ago in terms of production. I take a lot of breaks when I'm recording these videos. As far as Season 9 goes individually, that's it. Just a couple of releases in the United Kingdom and one singular release in Australia. But we have some multi-packs to talk about. I've already mentioned the Classic Collection, which was also mentioned last week in Season 3's Home Media Review. But in case you forgot, this particular version that includes Season 9 was released in 2010. And this includes Series 1 all the way to Series 11. So, a lot of Thomas content there. It's a cool box, too, honestly. I feel like I would like to have this one day. Then, over in Australia, we have a couple of multi-packs to talk about. We have the complete Series 1 through 10 box set, which was released in 2014. And this is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It looks like this came in like a tin-style case, like a circle tin case. Like, if you think about those Jurassic Park Blu-ray tin versions, if you remember those being out on store shelves, this is what I kind of picture this looking like from the pictures I'm seeing here. On the wiki here, I'm seeing a couple of listed releases here for Australia, but they don't have links to them. If I can find pictures for them, I'll throw them up here, and I'll just go ahead and mention them. There's a 2-pack of the complete seasons 9 and 10. And there's also a complete Season 9 and the Great Discovery 2-pack. But here's something that does have an article for it, and this is our last release for the history section. This is the Essential Collection 5 DVD box set, which was an Australian exclusive. And lucky me, this doesn't have a date for it on the wiki. Yay! I don't know when this came out. I've got a couple of Australians that actually watch this series. Shout out to Harrison Allen. You're one of the ones I see most frequently in the comments section, so shout out to you, my man. If you know when this came out, please let me know. This box set includes seasons 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And as far as the packaging goes, it looks pretty cool. It's got a slipcover there and 5 separate DVD cases, which I always enjoy. So that is it for the history of Season 9. Individually, it was not released that much. However, in multi-packs, especially in Australia, you get a fair amount of releases, so that's good for Season 9. Let's go ahead and jump right into the close-up section of the complete Season 9. Alrighty, everyone, here is your close-up look at the complete 9th season of Thomas and Friends. This looks pretty similar to the complete 3rd season, which we took a look at last week. We got complete 9th series up there at the top, over 4 hours of gripping adventures. Crazy, I know, right? How'd they fit this all on one disc? I have no idea. Thomas and Friends logo, 26 thrilling episodes. Thomas there on the front. Includes roll call song. No, that says complete collection. Last week it said classic collection. Oh, they changed it on me. 2 ratings, G and U. Hit logo on the spine. Thomas and Thomas Friends logo. The complete 9th series. And a number 9 down there with your 2 ratings and your product number. The back features a complete 9th series little tagline there with Thomas Friends logo. Blurb about the disc. There are your episodes listed. There's your tech specs, cast and crew, ratings, barcode, all that good stuff there. And then, interestingly enough, like I said earlier, they squished all this onto one disc. I should have mentioned this last week too with the complete 3rd season, but they squished all that onto one disc too, which is kind of weird considering here in the United States, the early years came on 3 discs. Technically only 2 discs because one of those discs was just bonus features. A disc has more storage space? I don't know, man. It wouldn't seem like that, though, because a standard DVD disc has a standard amount of storage space on it. So, I don't know. Whenever I look at the rip I made of this and I watch the episodes, we'll see how they hold up in quality. With that all being said, that wraps up this close-up. Let's go ahead and answer the 5 main questions, as always. Alright, so we're back from the close-up. Now it's time to answer the 5 main questions, as always. Number 1, where can you pick this product up? Online retailers. I feel like a broken record here. Like I just keep saying that, but it's really the only place I can recommend you get this. Number 2, is this product still being printed nowadays? We talked about this with Season 3, unless you count Amazon Prime, which I think this has the complete Season 9 on it. I know it's up to like Season 7 that Amazon Prime has for sure. You know what? We're going to do a first here on Home Media Reviews. You're going to see some live fact-checking here right on your screen as I search to find Amazon Prime here. We are going to see if Thomas and Friends Season 9 is on Amazon Prime here. So I see we've got the DVD. It's actually fairly cheap on Amazon. But you get it May 4th through the 19th. Let's see. Let's go to Prime Video. Here we go. Thomas and Friends. Let's find out. Oh, season 22 is on Amazon Prime. That's cool. Here's classics. This is season 1. So I see up to season 7 is on Prime. I'm doing my best here. Let's search season 9 instead. No, Thomas and Friends season 9 is not on Amazon. It only goes up to season 7. My apologies for subjecting you to my very late trying to figure out if Thomas and Friends is on Amazon Prime or not. I don't have my phone on me, so I couldn't have just looked on my phone. I had to use my laptop as I fight the hiccups. So, to answer that question, no, it's not being printed nowadays. Number 3, should you pick this product up? I mentioned earlier that I didn't know if I had seen all of Season 9 or not. I've seen all of Season 9. I was fairly let down by Season 9 here in the United States. It was not something that I very much enjoyed. Season 9 was broken up over, like, a lot of releases. Like, I'm just looking over at my shelf right now. It was broken up between Come Ride the Rails, Track Stars, Milkshake Muddle was another one. It's just crazy to think how in the United States, Season 9 was broken up over like 4 to 5 different releases. And honestly, I had no idea. When I went into Season 9, I thought I was going into something like Seasons 10 or 11, where I know for sure I have not seen all those episodes, because not all of them were released here in the United States. At least not on physical media. I think they aired on television, but they weren't released on physical media in the United States. There's not a lot for Seasons 9. Well, there's not a lot for Seasons 10 and 11. Although I think 10 got a fair amount here. I think it's 11 was the one that was pretty much ignored. But anyway, we're talking about Season 9. And Season 9 is a very bland season. I talked about this over on my Twitter, but when I started the file up for the complete Season 9, my disc ripped as all one file. These are not on this disc as separate episode files. No, they're all one long continuous file. And when I sat down to watch part of Season 9, there was no way I was going to watch this entire thing in one day. I looked at the runtime and saw that this thing is 20 minutes longer than Zack Snyder's Justice League. And Zack Snyder's Justice League clocks in at 4 hours. This is 4 hours and 20 minutes. I was sitting there thinking to myself, what have I got myself into? But then I remembered, oh yeah, I don't have to watch the whole season in one sitting. I can break it up over a couple of days. Or in my case, watch a couple of stories, wait like 2 weeks, come back, watch a few more, wait like another 2 weeks. It's taken me forever to finally record this HMR, so 4 hours and 20 minutes. I mean, other than 420 being one of God's greatest numbers, that's insane to me. But honestly, a lot of Season 9, I really didn't hate that much. I went into this season ready to tear it to shreds because, you know, the hit era is not good. Most of it is garbage, baby-fied, regurgitated baby food. But Season 9 is actually okay. My biggest problem with it is it's baby-fied, obviously, and it's just not Thomas as we know it, but it's okay. Like, it's not the best, but it's also not the worst. I can't say that, oh my gosh, I was so outraged by this season, this is the worst Thomas has ever been. I can't say that without lying to myself, because we know now where Thomas is going with the new reboot and everything. So this is definitely not the worst that this show has ever been. At the time, though, it was the worst. I gotta give credit to my enjoyment of this season. I gotta give credit to Michael Angelis. I mentioned on Twitter as well that I thought he was so much better than Michael Brandon, and he is. I don't see how people can say that Angelis didn't have a lot of energy in the later Hit era seasons. He sounds just as good as he did in, like, season 3 to me, at least. Maybe that's sacrilegious, but I really liked how he sounded here. I was actually engaged with his vocal performance, unlike Michael Brandon, where I'm cringing throughout the entire thing, hoping that the release would just stab me in the throat so I could stop watching it. That might be a little bit dramatic. But I thought that Michael Angelis was really good here. I actually really enjoyed his narration. He made the season a lot more bearable for me. As far as standout episodes go for season 9, Respect for Gordon is definitely the best episode in this entire season. I mentioned Unlucky Tug earlier. He did a breakdown video of this specific episode, saying that it's in fact one of the best of this Hit era, and I happen to agree with him. It's a great episode. Rewatching Thomas and the New Engine, I actually really liked that one a lot more than I originally did. I don't know if it was just the new narration. It felt like seeing it for the first time all over again, but I don't know, I just really liked that episode. I wish Neville could have got some more story potential, because there really wasn't much done with him. Same thing with Molly. I didn't even hate her episode all that much. Her episode was pretty okay. The Magic Lamp is a story that I think could actually work in a classic series context. Just axe the 3-strike formula and make the narrow gauge characters not sound like children. I feel like that could actually work in a classic series context. Toby Feels Left Out is actually a good one too. It has an interesting dilemma where Toby thinks he's going to get put inside of a museum. That could be a really good, like, existential crisis or something. And now as I scroll down the wiki page here, we get to the not so good episodes. Thomas's Day Off is just kind of eh. I mean, why does an engine have a day off? That makes no sense. Emily Knows Best, I hate that episode. Not a good one. Thomas's New Trucks also doesn't make much sense either, because the engines don't have specific trucks. They just use whatever trucks they have. Why is it that Thomas and James get specific trucks that are assigned to them? Oh, Skarloey the Brave. Oh gosh, that one. Not a good episode. Not a good episode, that one. Most of the narrow gauge episodes in here are not good episodes, except for the Magic Lamp, because the narrow gauge engines are characterized all wrong. It makes absolutely no sense why these engines are children now. Are they all going through midlife crises? I mean, I can relate, but at the same time, why? Keeping Up with James is a good one, actually, and Flower Power I kind of like. All in all, this season is kind of a mixed bag. I mean, I don't hate it. I don't dislike it, but I also don't really like it that much. I don't love it either. It's just kind of there. Season 9, I think, to me, is one of the most forgettable seasons of Thomas and Friends, because it mixes in perfectly with seasons 8, 10, and 11. It doesn't have its own identity, because in order to tell what episode is from a specific season, that season has to have its own identity. Season 9 doesn't have that, and it just falls into the rest of the mix. However, I think every American who has not yet watched at least a couple of stories from season 9 with Michael and Angelis's narration should do so. And for that reason, and that reason alone, I'm going to begrudgingly give season 9 a recommend. A very weak recommend. Angelis, you're saving this release from the damnation of a red arrow. No, it's getting a very weak green arrow, because there's just that little bit of good here that I can't say no to this. So, yes, I think you should get the complete season 9. Even though, and I've mentioned this before, the intro and outro plays for every single episode. I seriously think that's like a third of the runtime. is just the intro and outro for every single episode. I seriously think that. It's like the slow-mo in Zack Snyder's Justice League. If you cut all of the slow-mo out of that movie, 3 hours. Cut an entire hour out, 3 hours. This one, cut all the intros out, outros as well, probably 3 hours, maybe a little bit over. Would have been a little bit more manageable. Number 4, where should you pick this product up? I was actually looking on Amazon earlier. I don't think this footage is going to make it into the actual video here, but I was looking on Amazon to try to find Season 9, see if it was available on Prime. I wasn't on Prime, I was on regular Amazon, and I saw that Season 9 is actually available on Amazon for like $10. So, hey, Amazon, go and get it from there. It's like $4 shipping. It says you'll get it in May. So, yeah, get it from Amazon. And number 5, what price should you pay? Pay the price that's on Amazon. It's like $14 with shipping. So, yeah. So that, ladies and gentlemen, wraps up the home media review for the complete Season 9. I didn't expect to give this a green arrow. I didn't expect to even really like this season, but wow, Angelus, he really impressed me here. And I know Sean is happy to hear that I'm talking so good about his boy, Michael Angelus. So Sean, I know you're beaming right now because I literally just recommended this entire season on the basis of I like the narrator. Next week is bittersweet, my friends, because next week is the final regular Thomas and Friends home media review for the year. I know, we've been on a crazy journey these last couple weeks with this revival season, but all good things must come to an end. But don't worry, because after that episode, we're going to have like a month and a half of supplementals. Yay, right? I will detail more about those supplementals in next week's episode, which is going to be on Season 12. A season I've already pretty much reviewed here in the United States in its complete capacity because of the Adventure Pack. But we're going back to the well, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to see if Michael Angelus pulls out another W against Michael Brandon. I'm willing to bet that he will. That's it for me. I want to thank you guys so very much for watching this episode. I'll see you all next week. Good night, everybody. Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to another installment of Thomas and Friends Home Media Reviews. This time around, we've reached our season finale, and we have reached the final complete season DVD that was sent to me by ThomasFan261, also known as Sean. This time around, we are taking a look at the complete Series 12, which is kind of weird, considering the fact that I've kind of already reviewed this season. When Thomas and Friends Home Media Reviews was a weekly series, when we hadn't yet caught up to modern day, I reviewed the Adventure Pack, which essentially is all of Season 12 released in one box set after each individual Season 12 release came out. It's kind of the US's second box set, but also not really, because it's just repackages of 4 separate releases, but some people consider it to be the US's second complete series box set. The UK, of course, however, continuously gets complete seasons on physical media. I don't know about the later CGI seasons, though. I'm not sure how far behind they are. But at least in terms of the classic seasons and the hit era seasons and some of the CGI stuff, the UK consistently gets releases on physical media that the US just doesn't get. With all that being said, let's jump right into the history section of the complete Series 12. So the complete Season 12 of Thomas and Friends was released on February 20th, 2011. Put a little asterisk by that there because the wiki is telling me that this came out on iTunes. Apparently you could get this a day previous to its physical media release, I know digital releases of films and even some releases of Thomas and Friends media have come out earlier on digital platforms, but that's more of a modern day thing. Like usually the time frame between a digital release of a movie and then a physical Blu-ray release, yeah, it's about 2 weeks out from each other. I don't remember digital releases being all that common in 2011. In fact, I think it was more of an emerging format in 2011. Regardless of that weird fact, on February 21st, 2011, at least the wiki tells me this, the complete season 12 came out on DVD in the UK. Yet another single disc release. Tell me why they thought that putting all of season 12 onto a single disc was a good idea? I don't know. Then, a year and a month later, in March of 2012, the complete season 12 was released in Australia. So once again, the Australians are neglected for about a year in getting a complete Thomas season. Apparently, the British just really don't like our brothers down under. As far as DVD box sets that this was included in, this was not included in the really large seasons 1 through 11 box set that came out in the United Kingdom, because that was only seasons 1 through 11. There actually are no box sets that include this in the United Kingdom. Again, that's according to the Thomas and Friends wiki. There are 2 releases of this that came from Australia. The first one we've talked about previously, that is the Essential Collection, which includes seasons 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. We talked about this one last week and how it has a pretty simplistic box art and such, but it does look pretty nice. This next one, I have no idea if I can find pictures of or not. There's no link to it on the actual wiki itself, and there's no pictures of it in the gallery. But apparently there was a season 11 and 12 2-pack that was released. If I can find photos of it, I'll put it on screen here. That's interesting. That does kind of harken back to last week when season 9 was included. And I think it was a season 9 and 10 2-pack, which I guess that's cool. You get 2 seasons for presumably the price of like 1.5 maybe. And as far as releases for season 12 goes, at least in the UK and Australia, that's it. This got almost no love, no fanfare at all, really. It was just kind of pooped out on a physical media, and the United Kingdom people and the Australian people, they just left it to be. It was included in a couple of multi-packs, and then that was that. Which kind of makes me a bit sad for season 12, but at the same time I don't have a lot of sympathy for it because it's not really a good season. But we'll get to that in due time. For now, let's jump into the close-up section of the complete season 12. Alrighty everyone, here's our close-up look at the complete series 12 of Thomas and Friends. Up here at the top you have Special Edition, over 3.5 hours of Thomas. Thomas and Friends logo, the complete series 12. It's in the style of the Great Discovery poster art here, which is kind of cool, I guess. But oh my gosh, look at that huge, hideous CGI Thomas. Wow, that does not look good. I miss classic Thomas now. I want him to come back, please. 20 exciting stories there on the side. G and U for your ratings. The poster's nice. I just wish this Thomas didn't look like he wanted to eat me. The spine, hit logo, Thomas and Friends, complete series 12. Thomas, once again, your ratings and product number. Features a blurb in a little outline here with all the characters: Edward, Henry, James, Percy, Emily, Toby, Gordon, Freddie, and Rosie. 2 randos there. I guess it's because they were introduced in seasons prior and they get roles in this season? I don't know. But one thing we're missing, where's the list of episodes? Up until this point, we got lists of episodes on our complete series discs. Where are they? They're not here. Oh man, that sucks. ThomasandFriends.com link down there, and your tech specs, ratings, barcode, all that stuff down there on the bottom. And on the inside, just like with the complete 3rd and 9th series, they cram the entire series onto one disc. And it's a squished up version of the poster art. Very odd, considering here in the United States, Season 12 was on 4 discs and was compiled into the Adventure Pack. So I don't know why they thought it was smart to cram it all onto one disc. So that pretty much wraps up the close-up section. Let's go ahead and head on back and answer the 5 main questions as always. Alright, so we're back from the close-up. Now it's time to answer the 5 main questions as always. Number 1, where can you pick this product up? eBay, Amazon, just like we looked at last week with the complete Season 9, you can find this on both eBay and Amazon for relatively cheap. Number 2, is this product still being printed nowadays? I can confidently say no to this one. Released in the United Kingdom and Australia since, 2011, 2012. In the US, though, there have been some Season 12 releases that have been put out fairly recently that you can probably still get your hands on, but as of the UK and Australia, no, it's not found anywhere right now. Also, I'm sure I got some backlash last week for looking up on the US version of Amazon Prime to try and see if Season 9 was included on Prime. I'm well aware of that. I wasn't aware of that when I made that section. I apologize for those of you that got offended, presumably, because I'm recording this before the episode actually airs. But I apologize for that. But I don't have a VPN, so I have no idea if Season 9 or 12 is available on UK or Australian Amazon Prime. I'm assuming it's not, though. Number 3, should you pick this product up? You heard me mention earlier that Season 12 is not a good season, and I stand by that opinion now. I don't remember what I said in my previous home media review for the Adventure Pack. Apparently, some commenters have told me that I was kind of positive about Season 12. I wish I could go back and change that review, because Season 12 is wow, it's a mess. First of all, we gotta talk about the visuals, okay? The CG faces on the models, it just doesn't work. Once again, I have no idea what I said in my previous review for this season, but this is my opinion right now. Those faces just don't work. There's just something off about it because it's not real. You look at that CGI face and you say, no, that's not really there. His mouth should not be moving. Thomas's mouth should not be moving. It just shouldn't be. It feels wrong. Especially when you see in multiple shots throughout this season that the characters have their actual face masks on that don't move and their mouths and stuff aren't CGI. That just creates a weird contrast, and it takes me out of it every time I notice it. It took me out of this season while I was watching it. And the CGI just does not hold up. I mean, this looks bad. Even for 2010 or 11 standards, whenever they shot this damn thing, it looks bad. The faces don't look terrible. It's where the lighting hits it that's weird. It's like the faces are lighter than the rest of the backgrounds, like around them. The faces are lighter than their actual bodies. Where it really pales in comparison to today's CGI is with the humans. They look inexcusably bad. They look like wax figures that are moving. They're so shiny, they're not lit correctly, they look awful. Now, you could make the argument that they were trying to go for a wooden figure type of look, like they did in the classic seasons and the hit era seasons where they had the plastic figures that barely moved at all. But this is CG. This is computer-generated images. You could do so much more with this, and you choose not to. What the hell, guys? I don't care what kind of aspect you were trying to go for here, Thomas team. It didn't work, especially with the humans. It just doesn't look good at all. Aside from the CGI faces and the humans, the model work in this is actually spectacular. I really like how all the models look. They look nice and clean and not dirty all that much. I enjoy the model work in this season because it's not when the team is on their A game, but they're about a B+ range and A- range, and that's still really good for Thomas standards. This doesn't look like Season 8 where there was barely any sets that they made. Like they put one station on like one piece of straight track and they used it for like 12 episodes. Great Waterton looks great. I like that it's actually included in this season as a reference to the Great Discovery. I like that Stanley is featured prominently in a few episodes here. He doesn't get much of a character to him, but it's nice to see him here. My main problem with Season 12 is the fact that it's much like Season 9. It is incredibly boring. I mean, it's the dregs of model series Thomas work. I mean, it nearly put me to sleep on, I can recall specifically 2 separate occasions when I was watching this season. And I tried to do it all at once. Dear God, I should not have done that, but I tried to watch it all at once. It didn't work out for me. Like I said, I can recall 2 specific moments when I was falling asleep. Like actively, like closing my eyes, eyelids getting heavy, was getting ready to go to Dream World. I mean, it's amazing how much this season just bored me overall. I don't really have any episode that I can like latch onto and describe to you as being good, or at least memorable. Maybe the party surprise, but that's just because Colin is in that story, and it's the first and last time he's ever been featured in the show. Again, the narrow gauge characters are characterized the exact wrong way. That didn't get any better. Heave Ho Thomas, I guess, is a cool idea, especially with Hank, the American engine. That's a cool design for a character. He does absolutely nothing, and the story is pointless, but it's cool to see him there. Don't Go Back, I remember as being absolutely terrible. I think it's idiotic that Thomas and Diesel think that they can just race backwards throughout an active work zone and not get in trouble for it. Although I have to admit, the stunt where they push Ari and Bert out the back of the shed, that was kind of cool. That was a cool crash. I'll give them that. Saved You had a lot of cameos in it, like Duck and Rocky and other engines that I can't think of. Gordon Takes a Shortcut, I know, had Oliver in it. That was cool. Oliver and Toad. Oh, Saved You had Donald and Douglas. That just popped in my head. Yeah, Season 12 was like the cameo season because this was the last hurrah for the models, so the team was like, hey, we're going to just go all out with it and put every character imaginable in this, except for like Dennis, Derek, Daisy, and a couple of others. Wow, every character I just said there started with a D. I did not mean to do that on purpose. You know the episode I remember the most? It's not because it's particularly memorable, but it's because I saw it airing on TV back in the day. The episode in question is Thomas Puts the Brakes On. I remember when I used to have this really old cable company, you probably don't know the name, Insight. Does anybody recognize that name? They're actually Spectrum now. They were Time Warner Cable, and now they're Spectrum. That's the same company. They've just changed their name a million times because they're run by bad people and they screw over their customers. Anyway, besides that point, Insight was shit. So, I got like this channel called Sprout, which I don't know if that's included in regular cable packages nowadays. I don't have cable personally. I have Hulu Live, so I don't know what's included in standardized cable packages nowadays. But, only thing I knew back then was Insight had Sprout. So I got to watch Thomas Puts the Brakes On in the morning when I woke up on like a Saturday, and I caught it on the TV, and I was watching it, and my parents were in the room with me while I was watching it, and they both said, huh, they actually made their mouths move. Like, that was the one thing they noticed about it. They didn't notice the story, the character work, nothing. They just noticed that the mouths moved and went back to eating their breakfast. That's actually the best way I can describe Season 12. Hey, the mouths move. Now let's go do something else and not watch this season. I gotta say, though, Michael Angelis, he is better than Michael Brandon. I will 100% give him props for that. He is so much more bearable than Michael Brandon. At least he's actually kind of trying. However, man, that does not excuse this really bad dialogue that the characters are given to say. And to his credit, Angelis tries to make it sound somewhat sophisticated, but it just doesn't work. So I'm at a loss of whether or not I should recommend Season 12 or not. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I did recommend it back when I reviewed it originally. And I bet most of that was due to the fact that the Adventure Pack itself is the only other US DVD box set that you can get of an entire season. For this, though, you can get it pretty normally, especially in the UK and such, so I don't know if I can tell you to go out and buy this. I really just, I feel like I had a complete 180 turn on season 12. I went in giving it the benefit of the doubt, and I came out of it just wanting to take a nap. Angelus's narration was good, the model work was good, but that doesn't save really bad stories and really bad CGI. Really bland dialogue, just everything about this season. The only reason it's memorable is because they made the mouths move. That's it. If this was another hit season, nobody would remember these episodes. Absolutely not. These episodes would fall into obscurity, just like those in season 9, 10, and 11. So, I'm sorry, Michael Angelus, but your narration can't save this one, pal. I gotta say, Red Arrow to the complete season 12. Do not pick this up. This is not something that you need in your collection. I'll say this, though. The episodes look pretty good in widescreen. I think it's cool that they're actually in the proper format on this disc. And they didn't actually look that bad, surprisingly enough. I was expecting a complete and utter shit show in terms of picture quality with this, like I was expecting for season 9, but those episodes actually look pretty decent. These ones look better because there's only 20 stories here as opposed to 26 in season 9, so this was actually only 3.5 hours to sit down and watch. Shorter than Zack Snyder's Justice League, but around the running time of Titanic, so pick your battle there. Number 4, where should you pick this product up? Probably eBay or Amazon, honestly. And number 5, what price should you pay? I'd say around 15 probably is worth it for this. Although I did just say no to this in classic Thomas & Friends Home Media Reviews fashion. You guys ever notice that whenever I end like a season of Thomas & Friends Home Media Reviews, they almost always end on a not recommend? I just now realized that, like while I was recording this, they almost always end on a red arrow. That's weird to me. Like, why? Do I just put everything that I don't like at the end of a season? I mean, at this point, it'll shock me if I do recommend something at the end of a Thomas & Friends Home Media Review season. I didn't go into season 12 wanting to hate this, and I don't really hate it. I'm just ambivalent to it. It just, there's nothing here. But if you're really serious about this, yeah, 10 to 15 bucks if you really want to waste your money. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've done it. We have made it to the end of the revival season of Thomas & Friends Home Media Reviews. We have reviewed 7 different UK releases here on the show, plus a supplemental on the UK copy of Thomas and the Magic Railroad. So you could technically say we've reviewed 8 UK releases here. There have been some highs. The very best of Thomas and Friends I still think is the best release that we have actually covered in this revival season. And there have been some lows, like Together on the Tracks or Season 12. But all in all, I had a really great time coming back to this show. This is my baby. You know, this is the show that I thought of one random day while I was watching Nathan P. Butler doing his From the Star Wars Home Video Library series, and I thought, what if I did something similar to this but for Thomas? And this show went through several different pilots that I never actually uploaded to YouTube. Originally, I wasn't actually going to do this show in chronological order. I was just going to do whatever the comment section suggested for the next episode. I'm so glad I went with chronological order, though, because I can say that this is the only comprehensible series on YouTube that has covered every single US Thomas & Friends home video. We haven't covered all the multi-packs and such, or all the box sets, like all the weird random ones, like there's like another Christmas box set or something, I don't know. We haven't covered all the Totally Thomas box sets or all the Wooden Train bonus packs, but we have covered every single singular home media release for Thomas & Friends in the United States. And you know what? It feels pretty great. Like I said, this show is my baby, and it pained me. I gotta leave it behind because we don't have anything else to do. We don't have anything else to cover. I didn't have the UK stuff at the time. I never even considered diving in to foreign stuff back then. I hated leaving it behind, but I was excited to start the new series, regular home media reviews, which I've had a lot of fun with, but it is always nice to come back to where your roots got you started at. And guys, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much to every single person who has sat down every week and watched not only this revival season, but also the supplementals. We had probably a month and a half of supplementals leading up to this revival season. I even had to push the home media review on Together on the Tracks because I had that super duper awesome sampler that I had that I just had to do a supplemental on, so I had to push Together on the Tracks to get that out there. Supplementals are the bane of my existence because they're never going to stop. They're always going to be there. There's going to be something that I miss. There's going to be a release that I find for cheap that I know I can make a video on it. They're always going to be a thing, and I'm glad that you guys are not as annoyed by them as I am. But sincerely, guys, thank you. The amount of support that I got from that revival season trailer I put out a few months ago was like astounding to me. I knew this show was popular. I didn't know people loved it that much. I didn't know people were as sad as they were when I took this show off the air because there was nothing else that I could do. That was partially me taking it off the air and partially Mattel saying, we don't have anything else to give you, so you get nothing. I just had no idea that this show was as popular as it was, and I really can't say thank you enough without sounding cliche, but the only thing I have to say to you guys is thank you, because without you, and especially without the blessing of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, I would not be able to do this show right now. I would not be standing in my closet in the middle of a bunch of old clothes, action figure boxes, standing in front of my Thomas & Friends home media collection right now, talking into a Samsung Galaxy S6 as a microphone, talking to you guys over YouTube. I would not be able to do any of this without the Lord Jesus' blessing. And I definitely wouldn't be able to do it if it weren't for you guys that watched. Aside from meeting and falling in love with Hope, this YouTube channel has been one of the greatest blessings I have ever received from the Lord my God. I can't thank him enough for granting me this privilege, and I can't thank you guys enough for actually wanting to watch my content. Thank you. As far as where I'm going in the future from here, well, we're actually not really all that done with Thomas & Friends home media reviews because, as I've said before, more supplementals. Yay! I just talked about how much I don't like them. I'm doing more of them because I want to get everything I have covered before the end of the year. Conservatively, I say we have about a month and a half left of supplementals, so for those of you that are fans of this series and only watch me for the Thomas content, congratulations, you've got another 6 weeks of supplementals coming your way. The first one that's airing next week is going to be on an alternate copy of Thomas Percy and the Dragon that I have recently acquired on DVD. And then the 3 weeks following that are going to be on the Wooden Train bonus packs that I was gifted when I met up with Turtles and Thomas back in, I think it was October, to watch Thomas and the Magic Railroad in theaters. How did I forget that? It seems like that meetup just happened yesterday. That was last year, man. And then the next couple of weeks after that, I'm going to leave that up to a surprise because I don't want to spoil what's coming up on the channel. May 31st, that's Memorial Day. There will not be any new content uploaded to the channel on that out of respect for that national holiday. So 6 weeks of uninterrupted Thomas & Friends home media review supplementals, and then, finally, but on July 12th, we are finally getting to Home Media Reviews Season 3. I've already revealed the 2 films that we're going to be covering for the first 2 weeks of Home Media Review Season 3, but in case you hadn't heard, July 12th, that's Deadpool, and then July 19th, Deadpool 2. I'm not going to be telling you what the rest of the films we're going to be covering in the season are because that's a secret. However, in regards to the season finale, which right now is scheduled to air on September the 27th, I don't have a movie picked for that yet. There will be a special update that is put up on the channel closer to that time frame, maybe around the end of August, where I'm going to be asking for you guys to actually vote for a movie out of some picks that I put out for you. I need you guys to vote on a film that you would want me to cover. Don't comment on this video, though, because if you comment here, it won't be counted. Wait till that update comes out. Like I said, probably around the end of August, start of September is when that video is going to come out. That's the video you vote on, okay? I don't want to see comments on this video saying, oh, I'd love for you to do this movie. Don't put it here. it won't be counted. So just because Thomas and Friends Home Media Reviews is winding down, that does not mean that content is going away. Quite the opposite. Content is ramping up. I got to get started actually recording Home Media Review Season 3, because I haven't done shit for that season yet. So I got to get to work on that. I've already got the supplementals finished. I'm basically just sitting on those right now, but I got to get that done, at least a good chunk of it, before it starts airing. So I'm still working. I hope you guys are still enjoying the content and are excited for what's coming to the channel soon. With all that being said, that was a really long update portion. I'm sorry for keeping you that long. I like to talk, and I like to talk to you guys. I will see you all next week. No new video on Memorial Day out of respect for that holiday. I will see you all then. Good night, everybody. So just that was bad.